George Springer just gave himself, and the Blue Jays have the early lead.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Howell slinging it to the end zone. Was it caught? Yes! McLaurin! Touchdown!
Well, a magnificent Monday afternoon. How are you? Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Also coming to you live on Oilers Nation YouTube, where you should subscribe if you want to see Connor McDavid play his first preseason game on Wednesday, because we'll give away a pair of tickets to any subscriber tomorrow. So check it out, Oilers Nation YouTube. It's very simple. Hit the subscribe button, and you are in. It's the Gregor Show, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website. Now they've got boost picks if you want to have a little bit of fun with different prop bets, and they even have more coming for the NHL season. But check it out if you're an NFL fan, different things like that. Of course, you can do it at PlayAlberta.ca. I am Jason Gregor. He is Connor Halley, and we have a loaded show for you today. Of course, it's Monday, so that means Terry Ryan will join us between 3 and 5 o'clock. Of course, preseason action began. I'd have to look. I can't recall a 10-0 victory in the preseason. Now, I know it's happened in the regular season. It's rare, but it has happened. The Oilers, I remember shutting out the Vancouver Canucks in the 80s, 13-0 once. The Detroit Red Wings shut out Toronto shut out Detroit 13-0 once in the 70s. So it has happened, but it's rare. How do you not score a goal, and how do you get absolutely lit up? Now, I understand the Calgary's at home, and they've got a little bit better of a lineup, but it's not that much better. I love Rick Tockett's line afterwards. He goes, geez, felt like I was coaching the Broncos. It's got to sting, Broncos fans? Like, who was worse yesterday? The Broncos, the Bears, or the Canucks? Now, the Canucks a preseason game. It doesn't really matter. So it's obviously, it would be number 3 on the list. But the Bears, the Broncos, oh my goodness, the Broncos got 70 points rolled up on them by the Miami Dolphins, who, by the way, their offense looks good, real good. The Bears are terrible, not a surprise. Russell Wilson. Seattle fans must be doing cartwheels over that trade. Look, everything that Denver gave up to get Russell Wilson, and it's an absolute tire fire. Even Sean Payton, who has a long history of being a pretty good quarterbacks coach and pretty creative offensively, they're getting nothing going on. Nothing. So, yikes. But the Edmonton Oilers, it's preseason. It was actually an entertaining game yesterday. They lose 2-1 in a shootout to the Winnipeg Jets. Colin Delia. I know Oiler fans are probably like, oh, here we go. It's another season where the backup goalie stands on his head. He actually did make quite a few big saves. Rob Kane a few times, Hyman, Sutter, Fogle. They made some pretty good stops. Overall, for a preseason game, I thought Edmonton played quite well. Rodrigue, solid. Wasn't called upon to make a huge amount of saves, but was solid. Players who stood out for me, Dylan Holloway, very noticeable. Bo Akey, when he had the puck on the stick, really noticeable for a young kid. Now, he was sent back to junior today, as he should be. Let him go down to junior. There's no reason keeping him here for one extra preseason game. Get him down there. Get him playing. His junior team will be happy. He'll get comfortable. I asked him yesterday, what was his goal when he came into camp? He goes, I wanted to make an impression. Well, I would say mission accomplished. Bo Akey in Penticton was one of their best players. And last night, he was very noticeable. Now, you're going to see some things. He's a young player defensively. That's where he's got to grow. But, man, his poise, his confidence, his willing to try things with the puck, it's fun to watch. Tonight, Holloway, Bourgault, and Desharnais are the 3 players who played last night and will also be playing today. Edmonton obviously going into Winnipeg. It's a preseason game. It's early in the season. Even the Jets don't have a huge lineup, just like the Oilers last night. As Ernie, Malone, and Lavoie are aligned. Holloway, McKaig, and Seth Griffith are aligned. Stonehouse, Gruby, and Borgo align. Petrov, Berglund, Tullio. Cam Beats will go on the trip just because they always bring an extra skater just in case. And then on the back end, Kulak and Cece, Hoffenmeyer and Desharnais, and Deneen will play with Warner. And look for Mr. Pickard to start and finish the entire game. Rodrigue did it all last night. Look for Pickard to do it. And then starting Wednesday, Campbell and Skinner. And they'll probably have a conversation. Do those guys want to go 3 full games? Do they want to have 2 games where they play 40 minutes and then a backup comes in and plays the final 20? It could happen. But that's kind of where I see it for them. You know what? You have one of Skinner and Campbell playing on Wednesday. The other one, I would guess, I could be wrong, but I would guess, would then play Friday in Calgary. They do have back-to-backs, but you could play Skinner Wednesday and you could play Skinner Saturday, right? I guess it all depends of how much ice time do their goalies want. After tonight, they got 6 games remaining. Pretty simple math. They could each do 3. Maybe they start 3, but they leave after 40 minutes. We'll find out. The Oilers, they might have a few cuts after tonight. I could see. Right? Tomorrow they announce a few other cuts. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Then they play Wednesday and Friday, and after Friday's game is, I think, where you'll see a significant amount of cuts. And then they'll get down to, 30, 34, 35 type of numbers potentially. And that's just how it's going to be. So, Ernie and Lavoie on the same line tonight. We will see both of those guys, very different stages of their careers. Ernie's just trying to get a contract. Lavoie's trying to stick in the NHL, avoid being put on waivers. He's got to get noticed tonight. That's the harsh reality of the preseason. When you're a bubble player, you have to get noticed. I thought Lane Peterson had a solid debut last night for the Edmonton Oilers. Now, he got put in some pretty good positions to get noticed. He got on the first unit power play with Nugent Hopkins, Kane, and Hyman and Bouchard. He also went in the shootout. Now, didn't score. But now, what's interesting about those are roles he's never going to play in the NHL, for the Oilers anyway. Right? But try to give him some confidence. Sutter, meanwhile, he's playing defensive zone faceoffs on the penalty kill, kind of what you think he's going to be. So he admitted he had jitters kind of the first time since being a rookie, having jitters for a preseason game. His kids hadn't seen him play live in 3 years because, remember, in 21, when he got injured, got sick, it was the lockout, the COVID season. No fans in the stands, no families in the stands. So his kids are young. He says, I'm not even sure they'll remember, but they got to see Dad play last night. And obviously he would play a few other games as well. Other news and notes from the weekend. The Golden Bears football team, 3-0, but gave up 54 to the Thunderbirds. Not ideal for them, but they will look to bounce back. We had the WHL. How about the Edmonton Oil Kings starting the season on the road in Red Deer, and they got a big win to open up the season. Then they had their season. What do you want to call it? Home opener, not season opener, but home opener on Saturday night. The rematch. And what am I missing here? Oh, I thought they lost, but now I can't find the score. So my bad. Cons, what was the score? They lost 4. Okay, I was right. I just couldn't remember the score. So win one, lose one. And, them in Red Deer, that was a big opening win for the Oil Kings. They're without some of their players. They got some injuries. They're a young team. They got a few guys in camp that they're hoping to get back this coming weekend, and away they go. Hey, Gregor, did you say McDavid's playing on Wednesday? From Dan, yes, I did. I would expect Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl to play on Wednesday. And by the way, Wednesday's game will be televised because the Vancouver Canucks, in their contract, all of their preseason games are televised. I know Oilers fans are like, what about us? Well, it wasn't in the contract. Maybe they regret it because, hey, Oilers fans are pretty rabid. They'd watch the games. Now, if you have the NHL Center Ice package, tonight's game, you will be able to get it because the Jets game is televised by their local regional supplier, TSN. And I know if you go to your TV, it'll say TSN 3, and you'll be like, why is it blacked out? Because TSN does not have national rights. They only have regional rights. So if you're in the Winnipeg Jets viewing region, then you'll get the game unless you have the center ice package. Then, of course, you can watch it. Bronte will be by today. Kevin Woodley returns. The return of Woodley. We'll talk a little goaltending with the K-Man at 5:20. He will join us pretty much every Monday at 5:20. Spec will be by. Matt Snyder. We'll talk the final week of Major League Baseball, baby. And the Jays, hey, they control their own destiny. And they've got a decent schedule because they got all their games at home. They have today off, and then they'll play 3 against the Yankees and then 3 against the Tampa Bay Rays, who are banged up. Do you see how many walking wounded the Rays have? I think it's like 6 starters now. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And the Rays have solidified a playoff spot, but they're going into the playoffs rather wounded. And Toronto, who's currently holding down the second of 3 wildcard spots, they are 2 games up on Houston and a half game up on Seattle. And Seattle plays Texas and Houston this coming week. So, you know what? There's lots of games where even if the Jays lose, because there's all these teams chasing them, they can't all gain ground. That's the advantage. So, you know, if the Jays just go 3-3, I'd have to do the math in my head, but I'm pretty sure that yes, if they go 3-3, they're in automatically because Seattle would have to win all of their remaining 6 games. Well, technically they have 7. My bad. They have 7. So if they would have to go 6-1, and if that means they're going 6-1, then that means that Texas will have lost 2 games to them, and then Houston plays Texas. So, hey, the Jays just go 3-3, and they are in. Other sad news, Connor Halley. Sadly, if you're a Chargers fan, you probably just wait for something like this. I don't know if there's a team in the NFL who consistently has more serious injuries than the Chargers. And Mike Williams has a huge catch, big game. You know, Keenan Allen's throwing him touchdown passes, and then he tears his ACL, and now he's done for the year.
Yeah, and I mean, probably his last game as a member of the LA Chargers. He took a bit of a pay cut this year to move it into next year, where he'll be making like $32 million, and I don't think the Chargers will be keeping around for that one. So tough one for Mike Williams. Derwin James went down in that game as well with a hamstring issue, but I don't know. I don't even notice it anymore. It's kind of expected. I'm surprised they made it to week 3 without a superstar going down. Although they already did lose Austin Eckler, so I guess that was another thing I should have been a little more concerned about. But hey, they got depth. That's why they drafted Quentin Johnson in the first round. They've got Josh Palmer, who looks like he could be a player as well. I'm not too concerned over it. I'm sorry for the fantasy footballers out there that lost Mike Williams, though.
That's a tough one. Hey, Norman at Combine just texted us. Hey, fellas, I've got some Cinnabon for you. Norman at Combine. Well, Declan might go out there and grab the Cinnabon. That's unbelievable, Norm. Absolute beauty. I'll take a Cinnabon all day. I like it. Nice. Cinnabon, Cinnazeo. It's a good little competition we could have about that. I like it. Hey, guys, is it just me? Are Oiler fans putting way too much importance on these preseason games, Lance? I'll be honest, Lance. I'm reading my text line, and I don't really have I don't have anybody texting overrating the preseason games. I think most Oiler fans are saying, like, could I find one texter? Sure. But they don't reflect, I think, the majority of people. Somebody says, hey, you know what? Akey was more noticeable than Broberg. Well, now that is factual. Doesn't mean he's better, but he was more noticeable. But he has a different skill set, right? He does things that are a little bit different than Broberg. His puck can't, like, man, his confidence with the puck last night, that was outstanding. Outstanding. Exciting to see, but he's a long way away. Like, doing that in one preseason game is great. Now, the great news about it is I think that's what he has in his DNA. That's the type of player he's going to be if he's ever in the NHL. He's going to make plays with the puck on a stick. But he's got to get stronger. Probably got to get a little bit faster. And then he'll have to learn how to defend better, like every other 18-year-old defenseman. But you know what? Good for Bo Akey. I don't think there's anything wrong being excited about Bo Akey. At the same time, I'm not going to jump over hoops and be like, oh, this guy, he should be here ahead of Philip Broberg. Like, come on. Did anybody actually say that? Like with their actual name, or was it just somebody who's looking for a reaction on social media? You have to always understand that, right? Who's it coming from? And did they actually say it, or did they just make some weird one? Hey, guys, look at the Ravens. We have the most injuries guaranteed. Dobbins, Hill, Edwards, Beckham Jr., Rashad Bateman, defense, Humphreys. Yeah, they do this year. But my question was, year after year, are the Ravens always this hurt? Honestly, I'm not a Ravens fan. Obviously, Connor's a huge Chargers fan. So every time there's an injury, like if they have a hangnail, Connor tells me about it. So maybe I'm probably a little too sensitive to the Chargers, but it just seems like year after year, they're getting some serious ones. Now, Baltimore this year, they've had some brutal injuries. No question about it.
I'd put the Ravens right up there.
Okay.
Like Chargers might have the star players go down every year, but the Ravens have quantity. Like lots of guys. I think last year they had 3 DBs go down, 3 corners. Yeah, they're stuck by the injury bug quite a bit.
Yeah. That's interesting. Hey, Gregor, I spend my winters in Newfoundland. I buy the center ice every year, but never get the Jets games when they're on TSN, which is most games. Maybe that's the East Coast thing. I don't know, but just want to make you aware. When the Oilers play the Jets, I've always had to watch it from illegal sites. Rod. Really? That seems odd to me because because if you're not in the region, you should get it. Why would it be blacked out? Unless you're trying to watch it on TSN. Don't watch it on TSN. Go up to the channels that are for that because it doesn't black out. That's the whole point of the center ice package. You pay to get the broadcasts that aren't in your region. There's no reason that should be blacked out for you. If it is, I'd call my cable provider because that's the whole point of buying the center ice package is that you get the teams that would have regional blackouts. You can have those games. I've watched every team in the league. There's no game I don't get. So yeah, maybe your cable provider something screwed up there because that doesn't make any sense at all. So, hey boys, is Schneider out as manager if they don't make the playoffs? Maybe it's just me, but him hugging everyone when he pulls them from the game just seems off. Can he not hug a player when he pulls them? Doesn't need to be their buddy every day, does he? From Lee. Well, I don't think he hugs every guy, Lee, does it? Now, again, I haven't watched every game when he pulls out a guy, but I'm pretty sure I've seen guys walk up and he's like, gives him a pat. Usually, even when the guy's terrible, usually you see the manager give him a little tap on the back. Hey, good work, whatever. But I don't think hugging would be why. I was waiting for why did he keep Romano in the game? I thought that was a valid question. I saw his answer. He's like, yeah, he's our closer, but sometimes your closer doesn't have it. And I hope that come playoff time, if for whatever reason your closer doesn't have it and you're in a tight game, then you can't just wait and hope that he's going to get it. Right? You can go to someone else that game and then bring back your closer the next game. Right? So if they make the playoffs, and they're not going to miss the playoffs, I shouldn't say they won't, but it would be really difficult to miss the playoffs right now. Like really hard. So I don't see any way they don't make it, unless they lose all 6 games. And yeah, I think that's essentially what would have to happen because Seattle's playing both Texas and Houston, right? So both teams can't gain ground in the same night, right? So that's what helps them. And they're all behind it. So I don't see it. Hey guys, I've heard that the Stone Bottom kid has turned some heads so far. What's the scoop from Walt? Well, rookie camp, Walt. Yeah, he had a good rookie camp. So did Bo Akey. Bo Akey, I think, was the best Oiler on their rookie team. And he had a good one preseason game, and then he went back. And I think, Stone Bottom would be in a similar category for the Oilers as far as, or Stone House. It's not Stone Bottom, I should say. But I wouldn't, I'm not holding my breath. I'm going to be honest. The preseason illustrates that there's very few players at the end of the day who are close to making it, right? That's just how it is. So, Stonehouse is 19. He's got to go back to junior. So I would expect him to go back to junior. He'll get a game in. And I guess there's a chance he could play 2. But if Bo Akey doesn't get a second game, I'm going to guess Stonehouse doesn't get a second game. That's just me. So we'll see what happens. Quick break. We'll come back. Bronte will join us on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440 live on Oilers Nation YouTube. And we are say hello from the Ewell studio, ewel.ca. We continue on Monday afternoon. Jason Gregor Show. We are right into preseason hockey. Also, doubleheader Monday nighter again tonight. Do you need a few points for your fantasy football outside of maybe you're a fan of any of the four teams? Do you have anybody going? Of course, the 2-0 Bucks are hosting the 2-0 Eagles, and then the 0-2 Cincinnati Bengals taking on the 1-1 Rams. And we're waiting. I'm guessing it'll come down to the wire. Some people think Joe Burrow is going to play, but it still hasn't been 100% confirmed. Has it, Cons, in the last 20 minutes? Has you seen anything that changed on that?
No.
Okay. Oof. Yeah, well, that will impact not only Burrow owners, the receivers, everybody. T. Higgins. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Now, let's get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo of Edmonton. Stop in right now at Volvo if you want a new vehicle, a demo, or certified pre-owned Volvo. You can get them for 1.49% financing, and you will get unbelievable service all the time. VolvoEdmonton.com. As we welcome in from Oilers Nation, Ruben Bronte, longtime beat reporter of the Edmonton Oilers, a.k.a. Robin Brownlee. And Rubes, I know you've written many pieces. You love getting hyped up about a player, Bo Akey. I'm waiting for your piece carving the Oilers for sending him back to junior. It's a joke that he should have stayed in the league. Correct?
Incorrect. You did not read what I wrote today. But you know what? I saw your comment early last night during the game. So I sort of zoomed in on him. Talk about a poised kid who makes smart decisions with the puck. I think he showed the Oilers everything you'd love to see from a young player at that point. Given the fact he's got to go back, you don't rush a kid like this. It's going to be, 2 or 3 years till Oiler fans see him in uniform, even if he pans out. There's no need to rush a kid like this, but boy, did he look good. And apparently I wasn't there, but right from the prospects tournament in Penticton on. So a really good showing for that kid. He left a good impression. That's what you want to do when you're an 18-year-old. Go back to junior and tear it up.
Yeah, well, and as he should. He's an 18-year-old young defenseman, very poised, very mature player, really well-spoken kid, definitely someone to watch for. And Oiler fans, hey, you want some young prospects. So, I think there'll be a lot of Oiler fans that are watching Bo Akey a little bit closer this year, and that's good. That's how it should be. It's good to stand out and get noticed. And now tonight, very different position, very different style of player, but tonight it's Raphael Lavoie. He might get 5 preseason games at the most, right? So, because that means that we'd play 4 out of the final 6. So, that's the most he's going to get. So he's got to make the most of his opportunities, Robin. He's in a hard spot anyway to make the team, but he's really going to have to get noticed if he wants to make this team. It's got to start tonight.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the big thing with a kid like Lavoie, and he turned 23 today. He's now 5 years out from his draft year, 2019. And here's the problem from where you are with him. And he's had a knee injury.
Whoa. Time out. Am I talking Rashog here? What kind of math is that? That's 4 years.
He's coming up on 5. You're a good point. But here's the thing. That depends on what position you're playing. That's not a long time for a goaltender. It's not necessarily a long time for a defenseman. But when you're a forward and you're still looking for your first game, even if it's no fault of your own, we had a knee injury in there. We've had a couple of things slow his progress. But when you look across the ice at a kid like Dylan Holloway, who's drafted a year after you, and he's further up the charts right now, at least in my mind, that means it's time to get going. Doesn't matter why you haven't established yourself at this point, but you need to do something. Tonight is a good start. He's a big kid with a heavy shot. I wish he had a little more nasty in his game, but he's got to figure out a way to grab a spot on that third line, which is exactly where Holloway is. The top six, there's no apartments for rent in that district right now. So he's got to convince this coaching staff that he can be a productive third liner. That's the choice. And if he doesn't do it now, it doesn't mean he's finished here, but the kids keep coming and the draft years come and go. And if you get left behind, you sometimes stay that way.
Ruben Bronte joins us. Rubes, you look at Dylan Holloway's game last night. I thought his speed, he won lots of battles. I've always thought he was a strong player. He just, he's a young kid still, but he looks a little bit stronger. Now he's going to go back to back tonight. He's another guy that I have on the watch list. Like, I think Dylan Holloway's making this team pretty good chance. But I think Dylan Holloway is one of those players where if there's one injury in the top six, all of a sudden, man, that guy, like, your career could go up pretty quickly. Even if you only go there for 10 or 12 games, all of a sudden you're going to play every night with a guy like McDavid or Draisaitl. That can change things for you.
Well, and the thing is, and I agree, when you played 51 games like he did last season, and it could have and should have been more, he had some bad luck in being limited to that. You look around, this is not a week, a couple of games up in an emergency basis. You get to see some other players and you look around and say, you know what? I can play here. If I do my work, if I'm professional, I'm not outclassed here. And a kid like Holloway, when he gets 51 games like that, 22 years old, he's quick. I love the check he threw last night along the boards. He uses his size. There's nothing not to like. So yeah, he's right in that slot now, where the coaches are looking at him, and I would think he'd have to play poorly not to make this club at this point. Nobody's going to tell him that. That's not the approach a player takes, but he just looks like an NHL player. Finished product, no, but NHL player, yes. Right now, I think he makes the club.
Peterson or Sutter, either one of them grab your eye last night?
Yeah, well, I talked about Sutter today in the item I wrote at Oilers Nation, as people have. You know what? The thing, we know the story. If he can play, you don't lose thinking the game, but if he can move and stay healthy and the body does not betray him after a couple of years out of the game, and that's easier said than done. I mean, he's not a young man anymore in sports years. I like him. He checks a lot of boxes. Woodcroft said earlier, I think he put it in terms of, well, if this was the 29 or 30-year-old version of this guy, it'd be no question. Well, it's not. It's a 34-year-old version. But if he can think the game, save some steps because he's smart, he fits that fourth line center slot all day long. And he didn't grab my eye, but it's like a defenseman that you can count on in your third pairing. If he doesn't catch your eye, chances are he's had a pretty good game.
Yeah, no, that's fair, right? Like, Sutter he's not, and it was interesting. He talked after the game about how he felt most comfortable just in defensive zone assignments. He said, when I got the puck on my stick and I tried to make a few small plays, he's like, that part didn't feel great. So, just because the speed of the game, all of a sudden you don't have your puck handling skills. Obviously, you don't want to be chipping the puck because you're stick handling it so bad. So I think as it gets over time, but he talked very openly about how, was quite nervous before the game. He hadn't played in, 2.5 years. May 1st was his last hockey game for Vancouver during the no fan 21 season. And obviously had some serious issues with shortness of breath. So he comes back and it's just about the pace and the feel of the game. I would think that you'll see him play Wednesday again. It's Vancouver. It's the team he used to play for. I know how these things work. It's a great story. Why not put him in there against his former team? It's at home, so that makes sense. And then, I could see them actually playing him Friday in Calgary, just because it's, you don't want him to play on you usually get a tougher matchup if you're on the road. So he could maybe face some of Calgary's top 6 forwards a little bit in Calgary.
Yeah, and you touched on how you see things shaping up here. We got the game, the back-to-back tonight. I look at that Oiler roster and I see it's a totally different lineup. And when you expect based on whether it's your home game or the other guys, I mean, I see 4 Oilers who are going to be on the team this year in the lineup tonight. Kulak, CC, Desharnais, and Holloway. So that's a lot different lineup. We don't need to see, obviously, Draisaitl and McDavid. The top line from last night, they're all good. So I tell you what, it's going to be those. We shouldn't have a hard time focusing in on these 4 guys because we still want to see what Holloway does. I think we know what Desharnais is, and that's fine. But this is a chance for them to show something without the big names in the lineup. So I kind of like the sounds of that.
Bronte joins us. What'd you make of the Elks on Friday night? You know what? Competitive game, especially in the second half. They made it close. But the one thing that stood out to me was, and I think in the evolution of a young quarterback, Trey Ford, he had 3 occasions where he took sacks or losses. He just throw the ball away, and that would help him a lot.
Yeah, you know what? Well, and I mean, I don't mean to be too much of a smartass, but at least they scored. Let's start there. But you know what? He's every time out now is a learning process for him, and I know fans want wins. There's still the slightest possibility, and a really slight of playoffs, but let's forget about that and just see who develops and who comes along. Trey Ford is a smart player. He's going to get better. The more he sees, the more he experiences. I don't think there's any question who lines up behind center with this club from here on out for the foreseeable future, whether that translates to 2, 3, or 4 years, however long a stop is. If their players get really good, sometimes they move along, but better late than never, Jason. And that's the Elks so far this year. Their best football has come late, win or lose, frankly. And Ford's a big part of that. It's fun to watch him because we forget how few snaps from center he's taken as a pro in this league. He's just now scratching the surface. He's going to be fine.
Rubes, enjoy the game tonight. The preseason tilt, Oilers and Jets. Jets not going with a huge NHL lineup either. Obviously, their top line will be pretty familiar for Oiler fans with Scheifele, Connor, and Gabe Velarde will play there. Then they've got Kapari, Nemestikov, and Barron, Gustafson, Vial, and Ford, Lucius, Chaz Lucius, sick name, Reichel and Torgerson. On the back end, Morrissey and Salmonson, Sandberg and Pionka, Stanley and Capabianco, and Lauren Bressois will get the start in goal. Of course, his last game he played was against the Edmonton Oilers in the playoffs last season. So we'll see what they have in store tonight. Have a good one, Rubes.
Okay, see you, Jason.
It's Robin Brownlee, a.k.a. Ruben Bronte, the Oil Report brought to you by Volvo of Edmonton. We got a lot of text to get to at 10-12-60. Hey, guys, how's Gagne looked? How's Niemelainen looked? 2 separate ones coming in from Dave as well as Cal. Well, Niemelainen has yet to play. He didn't play last night. Isn't going to play tonight. I would expect he will play on Wednesday. Sam Gagne isn't playing in the preseason. His hips aren't ready yet for full contact. So he's going to start his or extend his PTO, I guess we should say, down in Bakersfield once he's ready. So that's the update on Sam Gagne, but he will not be making the team out of camp. Hey, guys, Woodcroft won't play Holloway in the top 6, even with an injury. Let's be honest. Sam from Vancouver. Sam's fired up. Yeah, I know he didn't play Holloway last year a bunch, but, and hey, you might be right. Maybe they'd move Fogle there. He played there before, but I think Dylan Holloway is going to get, I'll say minimum 10 games in the top 6 this season. Due to injuries, whatever else, good play. I'll say minimum 10 games in the top 6. Cons, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a pretty good number. I mean, something's going to come up throughout the year where you're going to rely on your depth, and he's a guy who I think will be counted on to take a step. He's shown he's got the offensive flair, and that's probably where he would thrive and probably where he's going to be counted on in the future. So, yeah, I think that's a good number there.
Hey, boys, I love being able to watch online and listen via the Oilers Nation YouTube. It's very cool. Well, there you go. Thanks, man. I like it. Yes, you can do that from Uncool Dad. Thanks for watching and listening. And, of course, hit the subscribe button because tomorrow, somebody who wants to go see Draisaitl McDavid's preseason debut and the Canucks, hey, who doesn't like to watch the Oilers? Now, I can't guarantee that the Oilers are going to win 10-0. Actually, I'd probably have to bet they wouldn't. But it should be an entertaining game. Coming up today, of course, Terry Ryan will join us after 3 o'clock. Also, Andy Petrillo, our regular Monday guest. We got lots to talk to Andy about. Dave Alter will join us from Sports Illustrated. We'll get to Toronto. They had a preseason game yesterday. Like the Oilers, they play again tonight. Kevin Woodley makes his debut on Sports 1440. He will be a regular Monday guest at 5:20. Woodley's unbelievable. If you want to learn more about goalies, listen to Woodley. So that's coming up at 5:20. And when we return, the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate, followed by the Fantasy Report, the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, live on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation YouTube.
For a limited time at McDonald's, enjoy the tasty breakfast trio. Your choice of sausage or chicken McMuffin.
Government of Alberta.
At jackpotcity.net, you can do amazing things with just one casino chip. Discover a world of incredible casino games with over 500 high-quality online slot games, including the world-renowned progressive jackpot slot Mega Moolah. Play for free at jackpotcity.net and get treated as a VIP 24/7. So visit jackpotcity.net today on your tablet, laptop, or mobile. Jackpot City, a whole world of casino games. 18 plus. Please play responsibly. This is not a gambling website.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. They've continued developing tools and are excited to announce their newest design, battery-powered nut runners. 4 models from 500 to 3,000 foot-pounds with more on the way. Learn more at cantork.com.
This is Eddie, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Oh, Eddie. This is like his only song that he did. Did he have any other ones? It's the only one I remember. Eddie Murphy, excuse me.
This is the only one I know.
Yeah.
This is the only one I need to know, though.
It's true.
The song just timeless.
It's a killer. A banger, as they like to say. It's a banger.
It holds up, yeah.
It does hold up.
I wonder why he wouldn't do more. Like, what was this a commercial success? Do you recall?
I have no idea, man. I would be lying to even try. I'd probably butcher it. Like, where did Party All the Time end up? Because you know what? There's lots of one-hit wonders. So, do we put in Eddie in the one-hit wonder category? Party All the Time.
I mean, it did the best on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. It peaked at number 2.
Number 2?
Yeah, number 4 in Canada, number 2,
wow.
3 in New Zealand.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, who doesn't like to party all the time? If you
Exactly.
can do it. Pretty self-explanatory. Why wouldn't you like it? It'd be all over a little party all the time.
Yeah, he went platinum in the States and gold in Canada.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, who knew, man? Who knew? Yes. Maybe the 2-minute warning will go platinum someday. We'll have to see. Cam Tate, for those who, I'm not going to do this intro all the time, but I wanted for the first week, just for people who are maybe listening for the first time. Cam is in a wheelchair. He has cerebral palsy. He was born with it. And he has been a long-time journalist in Edmonton. And he's always wanted to be on radio, but obviously with cerebral palsy, it was difficult for him speaking at times. But through the wonders of technology and voice box, Cam is able now to have a Monday and Friday 2-minute warning. Here's Cam Tate.
Your September 26th 2-minute warning. Is this really a story? I'm Fast Eddie from VoxBox reading Cam Tate's words. Taylor Swift was at the Kansas City Chiefs football game Sunday. In other news. Not so fast. By now, you've probably seen and heard about Swift going absolutely wild when Travis Kelce, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, caught a touchdown. 1 touchdown. Not his 3rd touchdown of the game. Not a touchdown to give KC the lead. Maybe tie the game, but the touchdown gave the Chiefs a 40-0 third-quarter lead. So, big deal. Now I can understand Swift has eyes on Kelce. They were seen together in the locker room, clothed, of course, and then in a convertible roof down. Don't you know, for some, what we call huggy body, kissy face. But asking Kansas City coach Andy Reid in the big post-game coaches press conference is, frankly, over the top. Call me old school. Call me grumpy. Now, I know a football game, a baseball game, hockey game these days has so many attractions. Then the game itself, I understand that. The market has asked for such additions, and to their credit, sports franchises have effectively delivered. But do they make the news rounds? Do they garner tens of thousands of views and likes? Do they get mentioned at post-game press conferences? If Swift would have made big play call on the touchdown Oregon, and this would certainly make the news reels. If Swift caught the pass herself, or even if she threw it. But let's make a news call here. I can see the crusty old news editors I learned so much from when I started with in my career. Dress sleeves rolled up, neckties undone, cigarettes everywhere making two piles. One for stories going in the paper, and the other for bird cages. I know where they would put the Taylor Swift Kansas City story. And I agree with them. Tweet, tweet, I'm Fast Eddie for Cam Tate's 2-minute warning, Mondays and Fridays as part of the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
It is interesting. I was watching, like Richard Sherman said, well, this is great for Kelsey. It's going to help his brand. And I'm just like, what? Why is that? Like, I just thought that was hey, this is going to help his brand. Does Travis Kelsey's brand really need help? And that, hey, maybe they actually like each other. I have no idea. Now, I'm not Struddy. I'm sure, we'll talk to Struddy tomorrow about, and maybe TR. I don't know. Is TR big on the celebrity relationships? Like, I'll be honest, I'm probably the worst person. I don't read People magazine. I don't really follow that sort of stuff. Like, I barely knew who my friends were dating. If I got introduced to their girlfriend or soon, obviously get along with them, great. That's important. But like, I didn't care that much about it. Right. And I never really talked that much about, my personal life. So I found it around there interesting. Bill Belichick's line was pretty funny. It's one of the best. It might be the biggest catch he's ever made. Come on. So, you know what? And hey, people are like, oh, Taylor Swift gets into the game. Why wouldn't she? Like, if you're dating somebody who's a professional athlete, whether they're a male or a female, right? People cheer. We've seen lots of husbands and wives, fathers, mothers in the crowd going bananas, siblings. Like, this shouldn't be a story, but hey, Taylor Swift's a pretty big musician. Like, got to be top 5 musicians in the world right now. Maybe number 1. Honestly, like, I'm trying to think who would be more popular than Taylor Swift. So I understand why people cover it, for sure. Good on him. It doesn't bother me that she's there. She's having fun. So now I'd like to know, Cons, how long have they been dating? Because now, like, you're in the box with his mom. Like, to me, right? Anytime you introduce a guy or a girl to your mother, that's kind of like pretty serious, is it not? Like,
yeah,
I can tell you that was normally the gauge where I'm like, well, I must like this person. I want to introduce them to my parents. Otherwise, it would be like, oh yeah, we're busy.
I don't know. I mean, so for me, Gregor, I don't like Taylor Swift. I don't like the Chiefs. So it's a match made in heaven for me to just be more of a hater when it comes to those two. But there was a lot of eyes on this Chiefs game because Taylor Swift was simply in the crowd. I would agree with you, though. It seems like they're moving very fast.
And nothing wrong with that. I can't go, hey, you know what? My parents met in a post office and got engaged 3 weeks later.
Wow. It worked out for them.
Yeah, they met in end of March. They got engaged in April and got married in August. And then we're married 31 years till unfortunately my dad passed away. I proposed to my wife after 6 months. We met on March 20th and we were married the following March 3rd. Now I was older. I wasn't young, right? So I kind of had some experience. I knew what I didn't want and I knew what I wanted at the same time. So I don't have a problem. I think it would be harder, to be honest, to be in that celebrity, what are we going to call it? Like the toy box where everybody watches every move you make. And it might be harder to have a sane relationship. I could be wrong, but I would think it would be difficult at times.
I mean, I guess they would understand what each other go through, living that celebrity lifestyle.
Yeah.
And Kelsey's a big name. He's a huge face in Kansas City. Good that they embrace it, right? And she meets the mom and clearly has a good time with her. I mean, I'm kind of going to hold my breath and see what kind of music we get if they do break up. Taylor Swift, she's at her peak when she goes through breakups. You know what?
So, is that's why Kelsey's like, well, I got to get my name in a Swiftie song, so I'm going to try to date her.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Words that rhyme with Kelsey.
So you can't hate her that much if you know the words of her song.
Well,
just saying. I'm just saying.
She is I wouldn't say I hate her. Yeah. I'm not a fan. What
don't you like about her? She's got some pretty good songs.
It's just not my style.
Oh, okay.
But she's a talent. There's no denying that. I mean, like you said, I'll say she's top 2 artists in the world right now.
Who's number 1? Or who's with her?
I gotta have her. Well, I gotta have Beyonce up there.
I don't think she's on the level of Beyonce. I think she's higher than Beyonce right now.
I think those two are crushing it.
Beyonce's peak was a few years ago. I don't think Beyonce's as popular now. Maybe I'm wrong. But
we got to see I don't know how much she breaks in per concert. I know Taylor Swift's killing it right now with her tour, but yeah, she's right up there. That's a power couple for sure.
I have to say, though, the lyrics to her song, You Need to Calm Down, the opening few lines are classic, right? Somebody that I know are taking shots at me like it's Patron. It's like 7 a.m., right? Oh, I thought that made me laugh the first time I heard it. Because it's true. There's lots of people that just lose their marbles on someone they don't even know on social media. So I thought
me.
That was very true.
Just kidding. I don't
know if I've ever seen you lose your mind.
Yeah, and I
shouldn't say that.
I'm not going after celebrities on social media yet.
Hey, Greg, it's awesome that you're putting stuff like Cam Tate's thoughts out into the ether, giving voices to a variety of people is such an important part of journalism, all journalism, including sports journalism. That one comes from Cheb. Hey, boys, Cam Tate's gold. I look forward to it. Well, yeah, hey, I've known Tater for a long time. I think he's got a pretty good sense of humor. He's on top of things, and it's good to give him a voice. Now, we will have to wonder about the bird sound at the end. I got to find out from Tater, what was it, the bird? Cons, did I miss it?
I don't know exactly. Kind of overpowered it there.
Yeah, well, so we'll have to ask him, was there symbolism of the bird that I'm not getting? Okay, trust me. It might have just went right over my head. But, I like it. Yeah, Tater's great. So, let's get to the Con Man. Sports 1440 update. On the other side, Terry Ryan will join us. Author, actor. Big week for TR. Season 2 is coming out of Shoresy this week. Maybe we'll get a little sneak preview from old Hitch. Maybe, you know what? We might have to get him to do a whole show in Hitch's character, in Hitch's voice. We'll find out. Let's get to Connor Halley. Sports 1440 update brought to you by BIE Engineering, specializing in all your residential, commercial, and industrial structural engineering needs. Go to BIEENG.com.
It's time for a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers looking to pick up their first win of the preseason tonight out in Winnipeg. Puck drops up for 6 p.m. off the ice. The team sent their 2023 second-round pick, Bo Wakey, to the OHL's Barrie Colts. 2 games in the NFL as we wrap up Week 3 at 5:15. It's a battle of the undefeated. Bucks hosting the Eagles. Then at 6:15, the 1-1 Rams head to Cincy to take on the 0-2 Bengals. Quarterback Joe Burrow questionable to go for Cincinnati. I'll be at the Canadian Brewhouse North location, 127th Ave and 97th Street if you want to come by for a chance to win a trip to the Super Bowl. Some injury news from the weekend. Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams will miss the remainder of the season with a torn ACL. Saints quarterback Derek Carr will miss next week with a shoulder injury, and Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo suffered a concussion in their loss to the Steelers last night. His status for next week is uncertain. It's a light night in the majors, just 4 games. One's already done. Later on, Rangers taking on the Angels. The Astros are in Seattle, and the Giants host the Padres. The Yankees were victorious over the Diamondbacks 6-4 in a makeup game from Saturday. The Jays will take on the Yankees to kick off a 3-game home series tomorrow. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by our co-host, Terry Ryan.
This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's Sports20.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is sounding the call. Don't struggle through winter with a furnace you can't trust. For maintenance before winter strikes, call Legacy. Call Legacy. For furnace tune-ups and repairs to give peace of mind, call Legacy. Call Legacy. Or to scrap your old furnace for a brand new high-efficiency one, call Legacy. Call Legacy. And with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your new furnace, it's gotta be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Sports betting is now live at playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at playalberta.ca.
Hey world, get ready to believe. At Oodle Noodle, we serve up world-class, worldwide flavors in our sweet, saucy, and fiery noodles. We believe in the power of nudes. We've got everything from saucy mac and cheese to sizzling pad thai to so many other unbelievable dishes sure to make you a noodle convert for life. You've got to taste them to believe it. Don't be a skeptic. The proof is in the noodles. Check us out at oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle. We believe in noodles.
Our cars are our lifeline, and every now and then we need to take care of them too. Cochran's Automotive services your vehicle with pride. When you need to fix it up, bring the whole family fleet. Junior's WRX, Mom's MPV, Dad's 1500, or even Grandpa's old 88. All makes and models are welcome. Trust Cochran's Automotive to professionally repair your family's pride and joy. They've got you covered for Volkswagen diesel timing belts too. Call 780-452-5001.
Sports betting is now live at playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at
Portions of this hour brought to you by Jaffa Machinery. Jaffa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their special edition Blackout excavators. Visit jaffamachinery.com for all the details.
Everybody outside wanna pull up outside all night though. Everybody high five, everybody wanna smile, everybody wanna lie, that's nice though. Oh, now you wanna chill, oh, now you wanna build.
Rolling through a Monday afternoon. Welcome back to the Gregor Show on Sports 1440 live on Oilers Nation YouTube. As always, presented by our title sponsor, playalberta.ca, where you can get in the game. And always, you can always go a little bit deeper into the game if you wish. The odds boost tonight, you can have the Bengals and the Eagles both to win the first half together. A little odds boost. So they have unique little wagers. Check them out. Just click on the odd boost button right at the top. It's pretty fun. So I like it. And it's always a small amount, so you can kind of stay within yourself, not go crazy. It's good. Let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Hockey Super League, a premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development, offering borderless hockey, including provincial and cross-province competition. Go to hockeysuperleague.ca for more information. As we welcome to the show, 8th overall pick in 1995 NHL entry draft. He's a two-time author. He is also a world champion in seniors ball hockey and one of the stars in the TV show Shoresy, which will have season 2 this week. Terry Ryan joins us. TR, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. That was Masters ball hockey, by the way. Seniors sounds like 65 and over. But,
the minute I said it, I was like, yeah, I don't think that's right.
But I know exactly what you were saying, and there's a real parallel between the words, but Masters is over 34. And I do have a couple of, not a big deal, but I got a couple of regular ones, too, in the men's open division way back when, 2003 and 2007.
Ooh, now I see you're sporting the shades today. Is this like a young Bob McCowan? What's happening? I like it. I might have to.
You know what's funny? I like that you gave. I take it for granted. I forgot that you asked because people often confuse it for someone being pretentious or trying to be a hero. But I had a concussion when I played 19. It was real bad. It's actually on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's Terry Ryan gets hit, and I think it's Byron Brisky and Damon Lankow come to the rescue. Something like that. But I got, and it's really the only, knock on wood here, I had bad symptoms for a year. I mean, it's largely why 96, 97, when I was in Montreal, I only played those 4 games. I mean, that was always an outlier. I remember when I fought Domi, one of those times after the concussion, I couldn't even see the other side of the ice. I mean, I got away pretty good, come to think of what could have happened. But for some reason, the light sometimes, especially when I'm on my computer a lot, I get like this, and it creates a headache that I distinctly remember happening after that. Now, a lot of people have a lot worse, again, knock on wood, because I don't want to complain. A lot of people that have head trauma, it gets a lot deeper. But for me, these these kind of headaches come frequently when I'm in a bright place or somewhere that uses those lights like Walmart or whatever, or on a computer. Now, this is my tint. I would if I could, I'd have contacts with just this level of shade, but you can't get them.
Oh, well, see, I just thought it was because you're a big star and this is season 2, week 2, or the opening week. So you're just like, hey, kind of a big deal. Obviously, I'm joking, but
that's what a lot of people think. Trust me.
The big watch party. What are you guys having a big watch party? What's going on? It's Wednesday, is it not?
Yeah. Well, no, it's Friday, I believe.
Friday. Okay.
I just got friends and family coming over. We're going to check it out on my big screen. We're all looking forward to it. Again, like I said before, I'm looking forward to it as much as everybody else. We shoot it out of order. I read through the script once to make, start to finish, to make sure that I knew what was coming. Now, once I have an idea, I make notes, break it down, see what I've got to know, how to be the best I can be in those scenes. But then I don't read it all again. I don't want to know. I want to forget because I want to be able to see it. Like I said, I know kind of what happens, but there's, way more scenes than we're involved in, and it's much more linear. Obviously, it is linear on TV, but when you're doing it, you're shooting it all over the place. So I like to save a lot of my knowledge about everything we did. I don't even break out the pictures or anything. I'm just glancing again this week to refresh my memory because it's going to be fairly new to me as well.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I like it. So that's coming up on Friday. We have a preseason action is on. Now, TR, I don't know if you saw, and I know it's a preseason game, and so it's much easier. I've seen dressing rooms after a loss in the regular season in the NHL, and my goodness, it's like everybody just got dumped. They're very upset. There's very few regular season win or losses that people are able to move on from quickly. You're on the flight home sometimes. There's no movies allowed. I think it sometimes goes over the top, to be honest, because you can't change the result. So sitting in silence for 6 hours isn't going to make you feel better. But the Vancouver Canucks getting spanked 10-0. Now, I know there's not a lot of regulars, but there's still some. That's pretty hard to do in a preseason game.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of layers to that.
Yeah.
And first of all, before I forget, I agree with you sometimes because everybody takes it differently. I'm one of those guys, the shower's over. Okay, at some point, it came to me, because I used to get real upset and, buy into that, no one speak and everybody act depressed. But I'm like, I don't have a time machine. The one thing, I cannot go back there. So how is my brain, and I'm not referring to a brain injury, I'm saying, how do I move ahead as a person? How do I absorb this and move on? And it's usually, you try to suck out of that all the negativity that exists, put it in a box. Now, what did I do wrong? How can I get better? Right? And some people are quicker to move to that process than others. So I don't think everybody should sit there in a negative blanket for however long the flight is. I just don't until technically. Then the next day you're like, okay, now I can be kind of somber, but like I can joke a little bit. The next day I can come in and be grooving. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, what did I think of that? I think the Flames really. It's 10-0. It's both ends. You can't take too much from the D side of it, or the 10 goals. But I mean, they really do need Huberdeau, right, to step up. I mean, if there's one thing I noticed, I mean, the guy had the biggest drop-off ever, and he looked like flying pretty high. He looked pretty confident, and those games are pretty tough for veterans because they mean nothing. Even in junior, I used to hate, like, having a great preseason and be like, man, I was setting up for go scoreless for the first 5 games. But, you know, on the other side of it, I'm not even sure. I stopped watching. There was some Canucks that I didn't recognize, but I mean, what were the veteran situations? And I think I just don't think it means much. 10-0 is a little bit alarming, though. You know, I mean, at some point it becomes alarming. I think maybe after 6 or 7 goals, but you know, I'd have to break it down. I just chalk it up to preseason.
Yeah. Also, I should clarify. I asked people before the break, so I re-listened to Tater's 2-minute warning, and the bird sounds were because he said certain journalism is best suited at the bottom of the bird cage, which is actually quite funny. So, and it went right over my head. So that's what the bird sounds were. And thanks to all the texters who text in. So Connor and I were re-listening to it during the break, and that's what it was. So it was actually genius. I like it, Cam. Genius. So good that I even missed it the first time, which is nice. Now, TR, it is, it's funny how you say, man, you didn't want to have too good of a preseason, but if you're a young player in the NHL, you got to get noticed, right?
Well,
and so some guys, a good preseason might be the difference of them being on the roster or not, right? Like I look at a guy like Raphael Lavoie tonight, and he's going to play his first preseason game for the Oilers. He's on their, quote, first line, so he's going to get lots of opportunity. You know, I know he's playing with Adam Ernie, who is an NHL player, and Brad Malone, who's kind of a tweener and is more probably an AHLer. But Raphael Lavoie, I don't care who you're playing with, he's going to have to stand out. Like he's got to get noticed tonight. And it's different where you can't fight guys, and that's not his game anyway. But my goodness, you might get 5 preseason games if you're lucky. Probably 4 if you're Raphael Lavoie. And tonight might be the one time he's going to get on the first unit power play. Terry, like, how does he avoid putting too much pressure on himself going into a game like tonight, knowing what the reality is of his opportunity to make this team?
Yeah, that's by the way, that is a good point. If you're a rookie, of course, I mean, you know, because you want to have the best preseason you possibly can, and super rookie being like totally, you know, being fairly raw. I mean, he hasn't been a pro long. Like I said, at some point, it's a very nerve-wracking process, right? But at some point, it's almost such a unique situation for a human being to find themselves in that for me, it was almost comical. I'd say like, okay, like this is the way I can try as hard as I possibly can, and that's obviously number one. That's plan A. I'm going to go do that. Now, I could take an errant penalty by accident. I could miss a penalty. There's so many things that could go wrong, but if I concentrate on all this, there's so many things that can go right. And I've been in bad situations, but I've been in good ones. I might have a decent game, but just be standing in front of a net, and I get 3 rebounds, and I get 3 goals, and the rest changes my whole history. So rather than think of all the trajectories that possibly exist out there, I just put my head down, try my hardest, and definitely in the room, get on the veteran's good side, however that might be. I don't know his relationship, but I know the first game I played, I didn't talk to many people, and then the second game, I just tried to open up a little bit, and it was like, now I know he's been in longer than me being 18, but it always helps to me to go in. I don't know who's playing. I think Kulak. It doesn't have to be a big-time star in the NHL. Someone that even a guy who's just been there and has had 3 or 4 training camps, I'd make sure to be close to them and maybe take some advice from that.
Now that makes sense. You know, it's like you don't, if you're a naturally talkative person and then suddenly you come into an NHL room before a game and you're not talkative, well, now you're not being yourself, and you probably automatically aren't going to feel, or you might feel a little bit out of sorts. So, you know, that makes sense. Now, and even maybe if you're a quiet guy, you're just like, hey, I'm better off being quiet. But, you know, sometimes I'm sure, Terry, talking about anything other than the game might be good because no one can focus for hours leading up to a game, right? You'll mentally wear down if that's what you do. So, you know, I think if and the funny thing is Lavoie's on the right side, and then you have Adam Ernie on the left. He's on a PTO. He's been in the NHL for the last, 5-6 years, but he's on a PTO, right? Like he's probably thinking, man, I got to do something too here. So I wonder, like they're competing, albeit for kind of the same job in essence, but they have to work together tonight. It's a very unique thing sometimes in training camp.
I find, yeah, that's one of the beautiful things about sports. And in hockey, the magnifying glass is even more because I just find the nature of it, the physical elements involved, the finesse, the way the contracts and the ages go. Like there's just often, you're always in there with one of your buddies. I mean, Aaron Asham is one of my best buddies in the world, hockey or not hockey. And ideally, we play together. That was the plan. In my second year in the A, we played together on a line. But like if there's one spot, me and Ash are very similar, right? So we knew that the whole time. It probably brought us closer because you can see the world from the same lens, that most people can't. So, and I think when it comes to, you could either look at it like that, or you could look at it like this is my enemy. And I guess from my experience in hockey, you usually err on the side of positivity. And if you, like I said, if you work hard enough and you keep that frame of mind, the opportunity will come up sometime. It probably won't even be with the team you're with. It might, but it might not. And I just, to me, my experience in hockey, and it seems to be the same, stay positive and work as a team. Teamwork usually wins out, right? But I know what you're saying. It's a very odd position. That's one of the most intriguing parts about training camp, I think.
What did you make of the NHL going to Australia? They almost didn't play the game because, Frank Saravalli was telling me they had to ship over like boards and everything to Australia going back as far as May. Like this is not something that's just a spur of the moment. Now they got paid a lot of money by the promoter over in Australia to come. So the players go all the way over there. The game was almost canceled because the ice wasn't great. Like the Coyotes, one of their practices had to be shut down because there was like puddles of water all over the ice. Now the NHLPA has to sign off on this, Terry, for sure, because they get some money and it goes into HRR, so it might help with the future. But like I understand where you go to this Finland and Sweden and these places, Germany, right? And I know that Australia many moons ago actually had a decent hockey program. They don't anymore. But like, is Australia have they jumped the shark here? Is this too far?
Now this is where how is the program? I know that years ago they did start a pro league. I know a few guys played in it. Now I've just assumed it's on the go because, to be honest with you, like from Shoresy and my podcast, definitely Australia is overrepresented. I would never think that I had that many people following from Australia. Okay. So I don't know if it's, and I have no contact to Australia, so I'm guessing my podcast / Shoresy is an extension of the overall level of popularity, which seems it's definitely more than I thought. So where is that at? I think if I knew solidly, I could ask your question more, because I think growing the game globally, it isn't essential, but I really think it helps the brand, obviously. But like places like Australia, that it's completely a non-factor for most of sports history. But I'm really curious, like, how are their numbers? I know they have minor hockey. Is it improving? Or is it going backwards? And did the people who set it up, did they do it because of to ride the wave that's already existed? Or are they saying, we used to have hockey and now we don't, like maybe we can bring some interest back? Because it seemed to me, I had a buddy there, I had a friend, Deanne Sandwith, former Oiler Turan Sandwith's sister, and she was sending me some pictures from, and I had a bird's eye view because she, I was on the inside. She was taking all kinds of videos and sending them to me. And it seemed to me that, like, there was a lot of people wearing jerseys from for everything from Crosby to McDavid. But if you're wearing jerseys, I'm guessing you're somewhat of a fan already. So that was number one that I was kind of surprised at. Now, the rest of it, I'm not really sure. I guess we'll wait to hear, but it was sold out, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was sold out. And, they got paid big. And I understand growing the game, and so I guess it's not a bad thing. It's like a long ways to go for one game. And
I think sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jason.
Oh, no problem, buddy.
What I was going to say is that I think if they kept doing it, but like for me you want me to be totally honest with you, that if I'm a player, yes, there's jet lag and everything, and it would probably, without thinking about it, create some causes for concern. But how many people get to go to Australia? I've always wanted to go there. It's so far that I won't. Unless someone takes me by the hand and I have an event, I'm not going to probably get there. So I'm thinking, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but at least a small but sizable portion of players are going, hey, this is pretty cool, man. I get to go to Australia, right? And they'll have that story of the rest of their lives. Anyway, sorry, I did cut you off.
No, that makes sense. And hey, Boston went to China, and I think they were the President's Trophy winners. So, you know what? Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe some teams think it helps. They bond earlier and stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But hey, they're growing. They're trying to grow the game in Australia. When we come back, they don't need to grow the game in Toronto. Although we could make a strong argument that there should be a second NHL team in Toronto. If there was ever expansion, second NHL team in the Toronto area makes the most sense. We've talked about a lot of the Canadian teams. We will do our Around the NHL preview today on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Austin Matthews, following in the footsteps of Connor McDavid, going to be used more on the penalty kill. We'll get to that and more with David Alter on The Gregor Show with Terry Ryan, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website, features a variety of responsible gambling tools such as a time clock, deposit limits, and more. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca to find out more.
Ain't it beautiful? What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction in sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners.
Volvo of Edmonton.
For a limited time at McDonald's, enjoy the tasty breakfast trio. Your choice of sausage or chicken McMuffin or McGriddles with a hash brown and a small premium roast coffee for $5 plus tax. Available before 11 a.m. at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
A solid financial plan is made up of more than just investments. Investments are an important part, but you need a more comprehensive approach. Vincent Pearson at Weird Pearson Akel & Associates Private Wealth Management understands that. He can help build a plan that includes retirement, estate planning, personal insurance, tax strategies, and yes, investments. Talk to him today and see the difference a real financial plan makes. Weird Pearson Akel & Associates. Call 780-988-4119 or visit weirdadvisoryteam.com.
Come into Jiffy Lube for a Pennzoil Platinum full synthetic oil change and receive a $20 digital gift card to one of over 30 merchants, such as Cineplex or Bass Pro Shops. For a location near you, visit jiffylubeservice.ca. Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving.
What's cracking at Cattail Crossing Golf and Winter Club? Kick off your week with unbeatable savings. Enjoy half-price golf from Monday to Thursday. Elevate your game without emptying your wallet. Book your tee time today. CattailCrossing.ca.
Sports 1440 is thrilled to announce that this Sunday, Fox Sports makes its debut with incredible NFL coverage. Fox will also provide more sports overnights and every weekend with an incredible lineup of talent. Only on Sports 1440.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
First Round is Edmonton's NFL headquarters. Get in the game and watch NFL football this season at First Round. And you'll have a chance to win a trip to your favorite NFL city to watch a game in person next season. And the hits keep on coming with food and drink specials, big screen TVs, and more. Catch the Pro Bowl brunch every Sunday, Monday Night Football, and head in Thursdays for your chance to win an NFL replica helmet. NFL at First Round. Burgers, beer, sports. Downtown West Edmonton Mall and at 1strnd.ca.
There's two seasons in Alberta, winter and construction. During these days of traffic barricades and slower commutes, GS Construction reminds you those crews are improving our communities. They're rehabilitating and upgrading Edmonton's infrastructure all across the city. When you see the barricades and run into a traffic backup, remember, the crews are there to help. Drive slow and be patient. Help make our city better and join the GS Construction team. See what they're hiring for on Indeed.com. GS Construction, laying the groundwork for your community since 1974.
a little better Saturdays. Oh, hey, now, faces that he sees, I'm gonna hate that familiar.
We roll through Monday afternoon. It is game day. The Oilers are in Winnipeg to take on the Jets tonight. Kulak, CC, Holloway, Desharnais, probably the main guys as far as going to be regulars in the Oilers lineup. Then there's a few other guys that are battling for positions. Lavoie, Ernie will go tonight. Malone. Some young guys maybe you want to see tonight. That will be in the lineup. You can check out, as of course the Oilers will have a fairly young lineup. Warner on the back end, Hoffenmeyer. You'll get to see him, as well as Stonehouse and Borgo, Petrov and Tullio. Also Berglund will get in tonight for Edmonton against the Jets. Jets top line will be there. Scheifele, Connor in the lineup tonight, as well as Velarde. They got Morrissey on the back end. Pionk is playing. Stanley, Sandberg, and then Kapari and Nemestikov are in. And then some younger guys, a few AHL guys as well. So Lauren Brossoit will get the starting goal for Winnipeg. Bo Akey was sent back to junior today after, you know what? He did a really good job in his first NHL training camp. And Penticton, he stood out. And I thought in his first game last night, he stood out. But we all know he's going back to junior. He's 18-year-old defenseman. And get him back down there and let him get focused on what he's doing right now, which to me makes a lot of sense. Now, let's go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's, where, hey, right now, hash browns, egg McMuffin, and a coffee for only $5 right now at McDonald's. And David Alter from Sports Illustrated, Maple Leafs reporter, joins Jason Gregor and Terry Ryan. And David, it's, preseason started yesterday for Toronto. They're in Ottawa. They got their second game tonight against the same Senators, and kind of similar. Toronto will have their big guys, Marner, Matthews, going tonight. Ottawa won't have as deep of a lineup. I guess the main question I have for Toronto is, we know that Muzzin and Murray are going to start on LTIR, but even then, I don't know if that's enough. How else are they going to get under the cap, and are they going to start the season with a 21-man roster?
Yeah, it's $1 million question, or maybe a couple of $1 million question, because that's about how much they are over the cap in terms of if they actually wanted to put a full lineup out there.
Okay.
20 to 21 players looks like it could be the way if things happened the way they start right now. But there are 7 more preseason games to play, and so many different injuries can happen between now and then. And that's the beauty of the salary cap, or maybe not beauty of it, depending on how you look at it, is that they don't have to be cap compliant until a day before the season starts. And so a couple of years ago, they had that happen with Ilya Mikheyev, where he had a major injury. They didn't have cap issues for the rest of the year. Now there is about $195,000 in addition to Murray and Muzzin that they could save with Bobby McMahon on season opening injured reserve. He's the Alberta native who got a cup of coffee with the Maple Leafs last season, got hurt with them, and so his prorated cap hit can be added to that pool if McMahon isn't fully recovered from his knee injury. So every dollar is being calculated and every permutation is being looked at, but you may not even see the Leafs cut down players until very late, because if an injury happens here, it's better for them cap-wise than if an injury happens in the Marlies case. So they'll get there somehow, or they'll just start with 20 to 21 players like they were ready to do, and they actually did do for the first 4 games of last season before Muzzin was placed on LTI, and then the cap wasn't an issue anymore.
Now, looking at their team, the 3 center option, Matthews, Tavares, and Nylander, how long do you think it lasts, and is it going to depend on what type of production they get from the wingers?
I don't know if the production from the wingers is so much important as it is William Nylander bringing more to that line from a scoring attempts for as opposed to scoring attempts against in that position.
Okay.
I think that's really what they're looking for. They're expecting mistakes to happen. They know that this is an experimental period, but they want to see how he can handle it, how he can adjust, and if he can correct mistakes by being F3 instead of being by being F1 instead of being F2 or F3 like he's normally used to being. So I think it's really just going to depend on that. And look, if it doesn't work out, they have other guys who played both of those positions and are a little bit more experienced in that, especially his line mate in Ty. I knew that was going to happen at least once. In Max Domi, that can kind of flip back and forth. But I mean, with William Nylander, he isn't in his contract year, and they're big fans of him, and they've always pushed him to do more. And I think that this could be the beginning of, if it works out and there's a role for him, can he develop into being a center option when they kind of have to figure out other decisions down the road, like a John Tavares and some of that other stuff. So there's that, and they are just loaded with wingers at this camp. That it kind of made sense because David Kampf is perfectly situated in that 4C spot. It's what he played last year. They just don't have the center depth like they did late last season. That it's worthwhile to at least try and see if they've got something there in Nylander.
Jason Robertson, sorry. So he seems to get lost in the shuffle a bit for a guy that's had stints and a lot of positive energy surrounding him the last couple of years, and he has improved, but he's been injured, and the success of Matthew Nyes and others has kind of shone the light off him a little bit. What are his chances, and how does he look so far?
Yeah, so Robertson has about as equal a chance as he's had last season. And last season, he had a really good camp. Like, all things equal, he would have been on the team. He deserved to make the team. And it really just came down to the cap crunch and contract management where they could send them down without penalty, where someone like a Dennis Malgin, who had that spot, they were going to lose him on waivers, where they would have had to at least put him through waivers and run that risk. And so it made sense for them to kind of start the season that way. Then Robertson finally got his chance. Then he got injured in a game against the Kings and tried to come back from it earlier and couldn't do it and was done for the season. And it's been a long road of injuries for Nick Robertson. And I think it's really just going to come down to having that confidence and swagger that he belongs here. But I think with the emergence of Matthew Nyes, who also has that ability to be sent down, I just don't see a situation where Nyes, given how well he played in the playoffs last year and how big he looks out there in that winger role that they like him for, I don't see a situation where Robertson can straight up beat Nyes for a spot. That other injuries are going to have to happen, I believe, for Robertson to not start this season with the Marlies. But if he has a really good camp and some other injuries do take place where it opens up their roster flexibility, he could certainly grab one of those 23 spots for sure.
Last year, Morgan Riley quarterbacked one of the better power plays in the league. And from what I'm reading, they have Klingberg penciled in there. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. Look, John Klingberg, there's no bones about the fact that he's one of the better offensive defensemen in the league, but what's been holding him back over the last few years is his defensive responsibility. Like, he was really good with Dallas 4 or 5 seasons ago, and it seems like every year it's kind of got away from him. And so, starting the season with the Anaheim Ducks last season was probably not the best situation for him. And then when he finally moved to the Wild, it was kind of hard for him to kind of figure out his spots. He was a little bit better, but they're going to have to work with him from a defensive standpoint. And so if you want him to get off on the right foot, you got to play him to his strengths. And if anyone's understanding of that, it's Morgan Riley. Like, there was that year in 1920 when the Leafs acquired Tyson Barrie and we're going to go all in on skill. And when Mike Babcock was in charge, he didn't put Tyson Barrie, who was probably the better offensive defenseman at the time, into that PP1 spot, citing how many points Morgan Riley had, even though the Leafs got him for that particular spot. And then the Leafs struggled, and then Riley went to management and said, look, let's put him there to get his game going. So Riley is fully understanding that you've got to put people in their strengths, and that second power play unit is going to look probably better than it's ever been. With Riley, you've got Bertuzzi, you've got a whole bunch of players in there. Domi's going to be in that spot as well. That you might see more of an even split there. But for John Klingberg, the way he dances on that blue line to push offense going, it makes it makes perfect sense. There's a new power play coach here in Guy Boucher this year as well. So it just makes sense to kind of go with your strongest person in that position, at least to start, make them feel comfortable. Sheldon Keefe always talks about let the players play to their strengths, and that's John Klingberg's number one strength. They haven't had a player like him really since Barry, before they got Barry, and not really anyone like him before that.
David Alter joins us from Sports Illustrated in Toronto. A little preview on the Leafs as we're around the NHL and Jason Gregor Show with Terry Ryan. Austin Matthews, they're going to maybe use him a little bit on the penalty kill. We saw, Edmonton. We've seen Sidney Crosby. Lots of other teams' top guys have been on the penalty kill. I know early last season, everyone's like, oh, Matthews is a great shot blocker. And I'm just like, I don't really think Austin Matthews should be blocking a lot of shots, me personally, but good, I guess, on him for doing it. He's talked openly about wanting to do it. Where do you see him? Is he like, in your third group of forwards where he'll get the last 30 seconds, kind of like McDavid, or do you think they have him in one of their top two groups of penalty killers?
Yeah, so that's a really interesting one, Jason. I've been mulling this over, and then I was looking at what Sheldon Keefe said in terms of his rationale for it. And, one of the things he pointed out was the fact that you don't want to take away one of your best 5-on-5 guys.
Yes.
When a guy comes out of the box. And so is it a transitionary spot? Does that make a lot of sense to kind of be there? Sometimes you can't get, that PK2 matchup there, because if you're on your heels the whole time, you don't have the same luxury like you do your transition team going from power play to even strength. So what I think is going to happen is you're going to see Austin Matthews get PK reps and probably be the second pair.
Okay.
But if the Leafs are in a situation where they're trailing or tied, or they really need a goal, they're trailing by 1 or 2 goals, and then they do take a penalty, I don't think you're going to see Austin Matthews there, because I think they're going to want to have him deployed on that first shift 5-on-5 and not chancing. So he'll be in that mix, but he won't be like a prime guy, but he'll be like a 2B type of situation where if they're defending a lead or they're comfortably in the lead, he's definitely going to get his reps there, because they're not so much concerned about the 5-on-5 play at that point or trying to get more offense. So I think it's really going to be situational for him, where he's going to get those reps. And I think you're going to primarily see it when it's tied or trailing. May not even see it when it's tied, but definitely when they're ahead, you can see him being out there to help the team.
Anybody you see as somebody who maybe will be a surprise performer for the Maple Leafs this year?
So it's kind of early just based on this stuff, although I was a little surprised to hear how much Sheldon Keefe was really a fan of Max Ellis's play in that game against the Senators. He was really talking him up about his playmaking ability. He's a Notre Dame product that they signed to a 2-year ELC. This is the second year of it. And it might be one of those situations where if he can continue to kind of show well, then maybe he's one of the earlier call-ups than maybe in the past, where he probably isn't in that first group of 4 or 5 guys. So he's looked pretty good. It was really hard to kind of get a real gauge on it because it was just one preseason game. He's looked good in some of these skates here. I'm really curious to see what Pontus Holmberg does, because if the Nylander experiment doesn't work, Holmberg to me makes sense as the next 4C guy. And he was just really good in the times he was up here last year. But again, it's the limitations of the contracts and stuff. I really think that he's looked the same. He looks like a veteran, and he's only in his second year here. And so I think those are the 2 guys you really want to watch out for. From a defensive standpoint, I'm curious to see where Connor Timmins kind of factors into all this, because there's been a lot of talk about the Leafs D maybe needing a little bit more than what they have. And Connor Timmins was really in the developmental part where he was playing forward for much of the tail end of the regular season.
Yep.
And so I think they really need to kind of figure out what they have in him, because they're committed to him, even though it wasn't this regime that signed him, to kind of figure out if he can be a 7 or even a 5-6, with Mark Giordano having a lot to prove this year in terms of, at age 40, still being an everyday defenseman for the Maple Leafs.
Great stuff, man. I appreciate it. David, enjoy the games tonight and the preseason. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, you got it. Really great to talk to you guys.
It's Dave Alter from
Thanks, David.
Sports Illustrated. It's Around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. Really, I teed him up there, and he missed one obvious one. Now, I'm somewhat biased, but mark my words right now, TR, you heard it here today, that Noah Gregor will get a contract in Toronto. And if he gets an opportunity consistently, he will score between 13 to 18 goals.
Wow.
So, there you go. All right. Mark it down. September 25th. Take a quick break. We'll come back. Ryan's Rant. Up next on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. You can get involved. You can text us at 833-401-1440 in our Jiffy Lube inbox.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
One call does it all. Action Electrical is proud to celebrate 50 years of providing complete electrical services and a full circle of care, including projects, service, tag, and energy. From humble beginnings in a small Sherwood Park basement to a family-run business, the Action Electrical stamp can be found on some of the most iconic schools, office buildings, and warehouses across Canada. From conception to completion and beyond, contact
the professionals
at actionelectrical.net today.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
It's a triumphant return to the airwaves. Hi, I'm Colin from Cantork, and this is a great call. Cantork proudly continues our partnership with Jason Gregor, eagerly rejoining his team on Sports 1440.
Hey world, get ready to believe. At Oodle Noodle, we serve up world-class, worldwide flavors in our sweet, saucy, and fiery noodles. We believe in the power of nudes. We've got everything from saucy mac and cheese to sizzling pad thai to so many other unbelievable dishes sure to make you a noodle convert for life. You've got to taste them to believe it. Don't be a skeptic. The proof is in the noodles. Check us out at oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle. We believe in noodles.
How do we do it? Well, at Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we invest. Our money and time goes right back into technology and training, and it's all designed to get you back into shape. We invest in people, the people who really care, and they understand how your body works. Then they combine their experience, training, and skills to work with you to help you solve your issues, be it pain in the back, neck, arm, shoulder, heel, literally head to toe. Leading Edge Physiotherapy, always taking new patients because we keep fixing the old ones. Life shouldn't hurt. Find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
Denham Ford's roots run deep in the history of Central Alberta. Like always, you can experience the same honest pricing and honest service that you've come to expect from all of us at Denham Ford for the past 65 years. Denham Ford is proud to be Canada's only 50-time President Award-winning dealership in customer satisfaction, treating every customer like family. Visit Denham Ford on the world-famous Wetaskiwin Auto Mile or from home at denhamford.ca.
One chance. It's all you've got. What are you prepared to risk when there's no do-over?
If you've been in an accident, you may be tempted to take a quick settlement, to rely on the nice insurance adjuster giving you advice.
Adjusters work for insurance companies. Just whose best interest do you think they have in mind?
I'm Carol Robinson from Robinson LLP. You have my personal guarantee that we always have your best interests in mind.
They get tough. You get results. Robinson LLP is on your side.
Monday afternoon. Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Terry Ryan along every Monday and Thursday here on Sports 1440 and live on Oilers Nation YouTube. Wherever you're watching, listening, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Also, let's get now to Ryan's Rant, brought to you by Action Electrical. Did you know that the feds released the 10-year interest-free loan for up to $40,000 for home energy efficient upgrades? You're looking for solar, want to upgrade? Do it now and do it with actionelectrical.net.
We ready to go here, Jay?
We are, buddy.
Okay, well, so first of all, I wrote a lot of this one out because I know that a lot of these rants are polarizing, or else they wouldn't be rants. And I understand people's sensitivities, so I just wanted to make sure that I covered myself by explaining myself fully, because once again, we find ourselves involved with religion to a point. But hear me out. Here we go. I'm not religious. I did grow up Catholic, and I understand that religious people tend to have good moral values and are generally humble. Their humility is one of the people that I know anyway. They're the common attributes in any faith worldwide. That seems to be a common denominator, and I like that. I do get the commitment to God, whoever your God may be, right? I believe in something higher. I'm just not sure what it is. That's my belief. But here's what always gets me, and it's athletes who thank God after a big win. And by extension, maybe actors, and I'm sure there's others, but hear me out here. If an athlete or an actor wins a championship and then thanks God after praying for a win, isn't that just a little bit sanctimonious and at the very least lightly hypocritical? Let's say I pray. Let's say last month, the World Championships, and I pray for a win, and then I get one, and I thank God openly in front of the public. What am I really saying? What about the people on the other team who also prayed? Did God, did he go with you because you're a better person? Did he or she, whoever your God is, favor your family name? Are you slightly less of a sinner than the highest ranking sinner on the other team? Now, I'm nobody to knock another person's God. I don't want to. Because I quite frankly do believe in some form of higher power. I really do. I just don't think
laptop
that we understand
audio. I heard there
what it is. I do pray here and there, admittedly. There are big events in life where I've definitely prayed. Almost every hockey game I do, but usually it goes towards friends or family who've passed on, like my grandfather, Greg Bird Dog Smith, or the great Todd Klassen, who was my captain in Tri-Cities and left us all too soon from Edmonton. What a great guy he was. So don't get me wrong. I see where these athletes and actors are coming from. Their love for God and whatever that is, and their religion is for the most part to be respected outside of extreme circumstances. But the whole idea of praying for a win, getting it, and then thanking that God, I find ridiculously hypocritical to the faith and comes off condescending and short-sighted, to say the least. I think a better route would be to thank the people who actually helped in some tangible way, like parents, coaches, teachers, brothers, sisters, friends, or mentors. Heck, even the family dog would make a better choice than putting yourself above someone who prayed on the other side.
Ooh, the text line is humming on that one. It's an interesting one, because I'm always curious, are they praying for health? Are they praying for whatever?
Well, so wait. So I'm only saying when they pray for a win, and there are people. Yeah, the other stuff I can see. What got me here? I'm healthy. I'm happy. I've got a good family because I work for it, and God gives me the inspiration to be who I am today. Totally different, completely different.
Okay.
But there are examples, and you know what I mean. Sorry.
Yeah.
I needed to clarify that. I cut you off again. And by the way, Rant always I don't sit here and hate on that, but I find it curious, and it always kind of rubs me the wrong way. That's really it. I don't hate those people. I'm not freaking out. Rant kind of puts it like that, but you know what I'm saying here. It kind of annoys me a little bit. They're very fabric of what you're believing in, you're kind of going against and being a hypocrite. If you pray and he or she prays and you win and then you thank God.
Let him just mute his mic.
We'll get to some of the text at 10-12-60. Now, guys, some religious athletes pray for their best efforts in game, not for win. KCF. Yeah, well, that's what Terry just described. He's not talking about that. He's talking about those who do it for the win. And the thing about religion here is too many people want to get offended if you don't 100% agree with them. And I think, unfortunately, in life, in a lot of instances now, people never want to have a discussion or a conversation about how they view religion or many other different topics that can be too sensitive. Some people would rather be like, unless the person agrees with me, I don't want to hear their opinion.
Which goes against the very idea of most religions. Sorry, go.
Yes. Yeah. And to me, it is one where you can at least have the conversation. And sometimes, guess what? People can disagree. I can disagree with Terry. He can disagree with me on one topic. It doesn't mean now we hate each other about every topic. And so it is an interesting one. I never really thought about it that way. I know there's always, well, even in the Super Bowl, there's prop bets to see who they thank first. So obviously there's some humor involved here that now they're doing it like, do they thank God? Or who else are they thanking? And I'm always curious, and you know what? Whatever you believe in is, I shouldn't say that. Whatever you believe in, as long as it's not to the detriment of others, I will respect. The minute it becomes detrimental to others, then we're probably going to have a problem, and I'm going to disagree strongly with what you're trying to tell me. Right? It's like those parents who are allowing their kids to jump all over the pride flags the other day. Don't teach hatred. Don't teach hatred. Doesn't do anybody any good. And they're celebrating. They're cheering on little kids. Right, because that's how they hate is a taught thing. I just want to say that. I think
now a lot of those people would be the people to be going to church on Sunday, right?
Some,
now,
yeah. Not all, some, yes,
not all, some. I just find it it's there's a lot of hypocrisy sometimes involved without thinking about it. Again, I'm not knocking any religion. I guess I'm religious myself to a point. I don't really buy into the Noah's Ark thing because I'll go with science and dinosaurs, but it doesn't mean that I don't believe almost the same kind of thing that you do. There's a higher power that we're here. There's miracles, all of that. So I think I represent a large amount of people. My God is up there somewhere, whatever it is. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I found it quirky more than anything, and I knew that this would start some sort of, there's going to be people getting way over emotional. Okay, I'm talking about something that I find curious, to say the least. That's all.
That's Ryan's Rant, brought to you by Action Electrical. As a Christian, I agree with Terry. Thank God for your abilities, health, etc., but a win is different. JR in Red Deer. TR, I like the fact that you're willing to discuss a topic that many want to shy away from. Kudos. And for that, you have my respect, even if we won't agree on everything. That one comes in from Doug. I think that's well said, Doug. You're right. We can respect people, even if we don't agree with 100% all of their opinions every time. Some of my best friends, we don't agree with everything. Like, imagine how boring that would be. Imagine if you sat around with your buddies and you're watching an order game and all of you are like, oh, I like that guy. Oh, I like that guy. Oh, me too. Okay. And you all like the exact players evenly. There's no chance. That'd be boring as all you know what. There's going to be, you can sit around, have beer, have water, have nachos, have whatever you want. And when you're debating over a sports game, there's going to be some people that automatically, there's people that are fans of certain players. Some like Nurse, some like Bouchard, most like McDavid. I've really yet to find an Oiler fan who isn't a fan of McDavid. I'm sure there might be one. I just haven't met them in passing. But I do find that, there are some players that can have strong opinions either way. And if we all agreed on everything, it would be boring. So it's good to discuss different things.
Debate is different than argument, Jason.
Yes, 100%. Right? Yes. Debate, conversation. And I think it's become a lost art, right? Yeah. There's a book, The Art of Conversation. It is a very good book. I would recommend people reading it. And I think all of us, myself included at times, we need to be reminded that guess what? We need to have discussions and conversations. And usually it's better to discuss sometimes things with somebody who has a different viewpoint, because then maybe both of you can learn something. If we only ever sit around and talk to the people who agree with us on everything, then that's how you get echo chambers, and that becomes rather dangerous. So from whether it's sports, like think about it. If all the Oilers fans sat together and were just like, oh yeah, everything's great, well, that probably wouldn't be good, right? You need some different opinions at times, as long as they're healthy. Now, sports is very different than when we're talking religious and hate-filled stuff, because it's sports. At the end of the day, it's fun. That's why you guys and girls like listening to the station, because it's sports and it's an escape. But I do think at times sports can teach us that in the real world, we probably need to listen to both sides of the equation on things that are not detrimental, hurtful, or hate-filled for others. At least that's what I think. So coming up, Andy Petrillo will join us. Lots of big news going, and some interesting questions, because I am sure this will get people's discussion and debate heated up. Andy texted me some ideas she wants to talk about today, and there's one I'm like, oh my goodness, people are going to get fired up. I love it. So that's coming up after 4 o'clock. And a Connor Halley Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm, comfortable all winter at legacyheating.ca.
It's time for a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers look to pick up their first win of the preseason tonight out in Winnipeg. Puck drop 6 o'clock in that one. Off the ice, the team assigned their 2023 second-round pick, Bowiecki, to the OHL's Barrie Colts. 2 games in the NFL tonight as we wrap up Week 3 at 5:15. A battle of the undefeateds as the Bucks taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, and at 6:15, the 1-1 Rams heading to Cincy to take on the 0-2 Bengals. Quarterback Joe Burrow questionable to go in that one. I'll be at the Canadian Brewhouse location on the north side, 127th Ave, 97th Street, if you want to swing by. Some injury news from the weekend. Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams will miss the remainder of the season with a torn ACL. Saints quarterback Derek Carr, he'll be out next week with a shoulder injury. And Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo suffered a concussion in their loss to the Steelers. His status for next weekend is uncertain. It's a light night in the majors. Just 4 games on the schedule. One is a final. Yankees over the Diamondbacks 6-4. Later tonight, the Angels host the Rangers. Astros are in Seattle, and the Giants host the Padres. The Jays off today. They'll kick off a 3-game series against the Yankees tomorrow in Toronto. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by CBC Sports' Andy Petrillo.
This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports betting is now
too. I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV. Your RV is the most complex thing you own. Ain't that right, Bob?
There's a lot going on with your RV, Rick.
And since your RV is used, you need someone who specializes in RVs that have seen a few miles. Right, Bob?
You've pretty much seen it all, Rick.
My staff of RV service specialists do more than just a quick winterization. We provide a full inspection, top to bottom. Check the furnace, plumbing, and electrical systems, as well as the brakes, wheels, and suspension. The whole point of an RV is to enjoy the great outdoors with your family, and you can't do that if it's not in top condition. That's where we come in. I'm Rick Showers, and I look forward to seeing you.
And that's NobleRV.ca.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. Professional athletes use aquatic therapy, radial shockwaves, zero-gravity treadmills, and rheumatic recovery devices for rehab. Leading Edge Physiotherapy offers those to you because sports shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Yeah, I tweeted out a second. Oh, yeah, I followed it up.
You are here, 'cause that's just who I am this week.
Just after 4 o'clock. Happy Monday. Preseason action tonight. Jets Oilers. If you want to watch it, if you have the NHL Center Ice package, you can get it on there or on Oilers Plus. Wednesday's game against the Vancouver Canucks, you will be able to watch on regular TV if you so choose. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website. Try it out. We will have our PlayAlberta.ca 3-play of the day, where we do a 3-play for $20 every day on the show. At the end of the month, anything if we're in the positive, we donate it to charity. So far we're up a little bit, not a lot, but hey, better than being down. So PlayAlberta.ca. Now let's get to our soccer report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. You're going to stay warm all winter. Don't wait till it conks out. Do it now. No payments for a year. LegacyHeating.ca. Andy Petrillo joins us every Monday on the program. And Andy, of course, last week in women's hockey, of course, the new league, the draft, that was all exciting. But I know yourself and Diana Matheson, there's a big panel about what's this next step for women's soccer to follow in the footsteps, because the women's program in the country, obviously being Olympic gold medalists, they've had a lot of success. How far away do you think that is, and what's kind of the next step for it to come to reality for women's soccer in the country?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Really excited about tonight. I'm going to be right after this. I'm going to be heading to a pub, which is a place we all love to be, to talk some sports. And the Voyagers, which is the main supporters group for the national teams, is actually putting on this event. And I'll be there with Diana Matheson, who started up Project 8. A lot of people have already heard about that. So she's heading up Project 8, which is she's trying to start a women's league. And she's actually pinpointed 2025 as the start date. There are 3 teams who have signed on right now. So you have a team out in Calgary, you have a team that's agreed out in Vancouver, and there's a team in Toronto. So obviously she's looking to start a league. You need 6 teams, but this is something that she's been working on for a very long time, continues to promote, continues to talk about. So I'll be on a panel with her. Former national team players as well, Rian Wilkinson and Amy Walsh, are going to be joining us. So we'll just get like an update on what Project 8 is doing. Because we know, and like I said this last week when I was with you guys and talking about the PWHL, it's money, money, money. So, what's the interest of investors? And also something else that's just really interesting, guys, that I've kind of always known about working in the sports industry. But now that I've, had this task of covering these leagues that literally are newbies, right? Canadian Premier League, the men's domestic league, which is only in its 5th year. And now obviously Diana Matheson trying to get a women's league off the ground. We're not exactly the sports country we think we are from a government perspective, right? Like trying to get approvals to build venues a lot of times, and I mean, I'm not here to say what's right or wrong, because oftentimes when you're trying to get those approvals, it also means you're looking at tax dollars. So most recently, a lot of people may have heard out in Saskatchewan, it was rejected to build a venue and get that going for the possibility of a soccer team there in the CPL. So if they shut that down, what does that mean for the women's side of things? So it's actually kind of difficult, right? So get an update from Diana on just the obstacles that she's facing and how hard it really is to start a league. So we'll be doing that tonight, but also we're just going to be talking to a lot of the fans because you mentioned the women being the reigning Olympic champions. They're in the middle of an Olympic qualifier right now. They beat Jamaica Friday night 2-0 in Jamaica, which in the world of soccer, away goals matter. So that was huge. And now tomorrow in Toronto at BMO Field, game 2. And if they win that one, they're going back to the Olympics. They're going to Paris 2024.
Essentially, they have to lose. What do they have to lose by at home to not go?
3.
Yeah.
3 goals.
Yeah. So they'd have to lose.
Because those away goals matter, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So they'd have to lose 3-0 or 4-1 or something like that not to go. So it's they put themselves in a pretty good spot in a big game, which is hugely important. And I guess it doesn't matter when you qualify, Andy, because I saw some people saying like they shouldn't have put themselves in this position. But as we just saw in the Women's World Cup, a lot of the good teams wrote early, like it's become more competitive.
Yeah, and they've also changed the way they qualify, by the way, for the Olympics. So last year was the first time ever they had what's called the W CONCACAF Championship, and it acted as a qualifier for both the World Cup and the Olympics. So clearly by making it to the final of that tournament last year, they qualified for the World Cup, but they had to win that tournament in order to qualify for the Olympics. So they basically what CONCACAF, the region, that we're in, is trying to do is make things more competitive and they want to make tournaments matter. So they faced who they faced in that final, the Americans, who they always have trouble against. They're our arch nemesis in so many ways, but they ended up losing to the Americans in that final. So the Americans punched their ticket to Paris 2024, hence why the Canadians have to go through this qualifier. But you're right, it's not easy whatsoever to qualify. And it's almost like be careful what you wish for, even though we want to see it, right? Like you want to see the game elevate, especially on the women's side, elevate the game, make it more competitive, make tournaments mean something. So you're not just showing up and la-di-da. Well, that's what they're doing. But guess what? You got to be prepared that when you up the level of competition, you may not be the one winning. So that means you've got to up the level of competition as well. So it's always this, like, you got to always one up somebody else and push each other and encourage each other. So either way, it doesn't matter. They're in the driver's seat for tomorrow, which is a really good thing. So I'm saying it right now, not that this is some sort of bold statement. I'm saying they're punching their ticket tomorrow night. They're going to the Olympics.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be a surprise. I don't think. I think that's totally valid. Now, when you look at this whole kind of soccer in the country factor, I know the Voyagers are a big part of it. Also, what the Canadian the Cavalry just clinched the regular season title, which puts them into CONCACAF Champions Cup, which is a pretty big deal. And this is the question that really piqued my interest, because you said, what's more important, winning in the regular season or the playoffs? Because my initial reaction is, well, of course it should be the playoffs.
But not in the world of footy. And I mean, Terry, so I don't know where I stand on this. I'm so confused in so many ways, because I know, and I've argued this for the longest time, and I used to scream, I don't even know who was listening to me whenever I was hosting Leafs Lunch. I'm like, the NHL doesn't really make the regular season matter. Like, I was like, do you get a bye? Like, you kill yourself for 82 games for what? Just to then get knocked out in the first round, and people could turn around and say, well, that's the beauty of the playoffs. Yeah, but you were like, shouldn't it mean more that for 82 games? Do you know how hard that is to be consistent and to be dominant? I mean, the Boston Bruins set records last year, and then bye-bye, right? But, does anyone really remember who the President's Trophy winner was? No, you remember who the Stanley Cup champion was. But in the world of soccer, because this is how they do it in Europe, they don't have playoffs. Mm-hmm. If you win the regular season, you are the title champion. So we're in North America, where playoffs matter, this debate is now forming. So because Cavalry goes out, they win the regular season, so they call it the Shield. So they win the Shield, which, yes, now it matters. You get prize money, you get a berth into this coveted CONCACAF. It used to be CONCACAF Champions League for all the people wondering. Now it's called CONCACAF Champions Cup. So now people are like, well, job done.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily need to win the title because they won what many people consider to be the most important thing. And I'm like, I don't know if I believe that just yet. Now, especially in the CPL where, and I'm not trying to like poo-poo things, but there are 8 teams in total. So congratulations to Cavalry. They have been the most dominant team. I'm not taking anything away from them, but you dominated 7 teams. So maybe if it was just more teams, like Premier League has 20 teams, MLS has 29 teams. I don't know. I don't know where you guys are on this either, right? But I'm like, maybe if there were more teams, it would matter. And maybe if Cavalry had actually won the title, like the playoff title, then they could compare which one matters more. But unless you've won both, how do you know which one matters more yet? I don't know. Like, it's confusing to me a little bit.
Andy, look, I agree with you. I've always said it about the NHL. I just don't know what an answer is. I think the NBA are trying some different stuff in this year coming up. Do you have any scenario that you think might someday be on the table? And I don't know, the PWHL, I'm guessing, is set up. It's off topic a little bit, but I'm guessing that's set up in regular season playoffs the same, right? Are there any mid-season?
Yeah, they're regular season and then they're playoffs as well. Okay. See, I was always trying to like spitballing whatever. I mean, obviously the most obvious solution doesn't necessarily mean it's the best one, but I was always like, well, you get a bye into the second round or whatever, right? But of course, in a league and an industry where it's all about making money, of course, the owner is going to be like, those are home games I'm going to miss out on. So they're not going to like that. It's almost like finishing first now in the NHL. You're being punished. Then I was cheeky and I'm like, well, why not make the number 1 team in the league choose their opponent? I know, like,
hey, but
like, oh, you stunk.
It's something. I think it's stale. 82 games, all for like, and it's long too, and the process is so long, and sometimes a week later it's over, and you've got nothing to show for it. I've always found it. I think at some point it'll change, and we'll look back at this and go, "Wow, I can't believe they did that." You know.
Unless you make winning the regular season like more of a monetary kind of carrot, right? So maybe like, you know, obviously we'll take the NHL just as an example. Like if the NHL paid the President's Trophy winner like a lot more money, then maybe that appeases the owner of getting the bye into that second round or something like that, right? Because we all know it boils down to money. I'm not trying to like BS anybody here, right? We know that's what it boils down to, which is why they don't want to give it up. But to me, I also just think, why are you, this is always my question. Why are you playing a regular season to get into the playoffs? Okay, fine. Then teams should just do the bare minimum if that's the case. Don't kill yourself to be first. Or like, oh, home ice. I can come up with so many stats as well where home ice has not mattered. You look even the last couple of years at the playoffs, the road team. And I mean, I don't want to overstep. Terry, you actually played. Maybe to you, you're like, no, Andy, sleeping in your own bed matters. But like, I've also heard of teams, and I know for sure in soccer, but I don't know in the world of hockey, but I've heard of teams where even when they were at home, they booked hotels to mimic the road life because they didn't want any distractions. When you're on the road, you actually have less distractions than when you're at home. Other than your last change in hockey, I just don't know if I put that much emphasis on anything else, even for home ice. So to me, I still think that leagues in general, I'm not trying to pick on the NHL, I'm not trying to pick on the CPL, but leagues in general, I think just need to make the regular season matter more if we're going to have playoffs.
What about a mid-season tournament? Maybe even include some top teams in Europe. I don't know, in the mid-season. I'm spitballing. There has to be something. What about halfway through a mid-season tournament that the games actually went towards? There's still games that go towards points for the I think the NBA are doing something like that, aren't they?
Yeah, they're talking about it. Yep.
Yeah.
So I know that in like in Mexico, La Liga, right? So they have like the first part of the season, Apertura, and then they have Clausura, right? So first part of the season, last part of the season. And basically, like, so what I would suggest is you have your winner. So maybe you do have a first half, you have your winner. So you basically have to hustle, okay? Let's just say for 41 games, you're hustling, you got to win it. Then the next 41, you still got to hustle and win it because the winners then go and face each other in a final in some sort of cup competition, right? Nice. So now everything matters. And then maybe we'll find a solution to the whole, what's the, why am I blanking on it now, right? Where they're resting players and stuff, right? So that was.
Oh, yeah, the Kawhi Leonard, basically.
Load management.
Load management.
Load management. So that, I mean, everyone in hockey, we all thought that's an NBA thing, blah, blah, blah. Whoops. Not necessarily, right? Now it's coming into the NHL. Maybe that's a way of avoiding that. I don't know.
Andy
Right?
Petrillo
Like-
joins us from One Sport and CBC Sports. It's always an interesting conversation. Look at. I will say the one thing about home ice advantage, though, that's been proven, Game 7, it does matter more, right? For whatever reason, Game 7, home ice advantage, the home team. Now, some would say, well, they should win because they're the higher seeded team, hence they have home ice advantage. Okay, sure, that's probably a fair argument, but something about the crowd and getting people up, I don't know why it is, because even in the NHL is weird. Home ice advantage means more later in the playoffs than it does early on. Like the first round is chaos.
I can see that.
Right. And it does. And we've seen like the number 8 seed beat the number 1 seed, even though, we just saw it last year, as you alluded to, in Boston. They're up 3-1 in Game 7 on home and still gagged. So we'll see. One last one for you, Andy. So if we were going to put when you talk to Diana Matheson, and you're going to have that again tonight, when you put a timetable on it, like what's realistic for women's soccer? Because when you look at even men's soccer Canadian leagues, how many times they had one, it failed. They had one, it failed. And now they've had a few, but even that, like there's the Toronto and Ottawa and Montreal are of course but it's not the only Canadian, right? And so FC Edmonton, they folded here recently. Like how difficult is it going to be to have a women's league when even men's leagues in Canada have struggled to maintain consistency?
Yeah, starting a sports league is hard. And I say this before, like, we don't know that. We hear the stories even of the NHL and the NBA and the NFL and the beginnings, but we are so blessed to be where we are now, where the leagues, have been around for a century and they thrive. So we forget, or we just don't know because we weren't born yet, how hard it was in the beginning.
Yes.
And that's the case. That's where we are now in this world of soccer. And to your point, like Major League Soccer, they just launched in 1996. That's still a baby league in comparison to the Premier League and, La Liga and Liga MX and all that. Like it's still a baby league. So the Canadian Premier League, to your point, you've alluded to the struggles that they've already had. So on the women's side, I mean, this is why you need a really big investor, because you're going to be investing your money and you're not going to see a return on it for a very long time. And you need to be really smart. Especially in the world of soccer, you cannot go out and build these 20,000 seat stadiums. Anywhere between 7 and 8,000, 10,000, like those are really good, especially in the beginning, because you can pack it, it can feel great, and you're not in these cavernous, types of environments, right? So create these really good environments. And it's also about like getting council, municipals on board. Build the right venues, get the right facilities, have the right infrastructure. So it's going to be tough. I mean, obviously, fingers crossed, the Canadian Premier League, so far, so good. Does Project 8 at some point partner with the CPL, even if it's venue sharing? I don't know about revenue sharing, but however that ends up working out in the future, these are questions I'm going to be asking Diana tonight. But you wonder if there's some sort of partnership there to strengthen things, because the PWHL definitely wants NHL involvement. They recognize how important that will be to their sustainability. So, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to predict, obviously, Jason, because starting a sports league is so hard. But, this is something I think we all want to see, though. Who doesn't want to see more sports? So, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Andy, great stuff as always. Enjoy your roundtable tonight, and I'll be curious to see what you uncover when we chat with you next Monday.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Andy Petrillo from One Sport and CBC Sports. I like it. Good stuff. Very, very interesting. That, of course, was the soccer report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you alongside Connor Halley. We got 5 questions coming up. Mark Spector. Kevin Woodley will join us at 5:20 today. Our in-depth look at goaltending. He will join us every Monday to do that. We got lots of text flying in at 833-401-1440. And when we return, Matt Snyder will join us, baby. This is it. So the NHL preseason is coming, but this is the final week of the regular season in Major Leagues of Baseball. And there is some great playoff races ongoing. The Toronto Blue Jays have put themselves in a really good position. Can they stave off both? Oh, I guess all 3 of Houston, Seattle and Texas. Two of those teams are going to make it because one of them is going to win their division, and the other one's going to be either the second or the third. At this point, it looks like the third wild card team. And the Jays taking on Tampa, who is absolutely banged up. That could be, you know what? That's why it's important to finish fifth, because then you're probably going to get a banged up Tampa Bay team in the first round. We'll discuss it next on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and
Gotta keep them separated.
Like 4:25, game day on Sports 1440. Edmonton flew out to Winnipeg today. Preseason action. They will take on the Jets. None of the big offensive stars are going. Kulak and Ceci and Desharnais are on the blue line. Holloway is in. Lavoie, Bourgault is in. Ernie, who's on a PTO, will be in if you can watch it on Orders Plus. Or if you have NHL Center Ice package, it will be on there. So should be an interesting afternoon. Let's get to our MLB report brought to you by Next Gen Transportation, heavy haul transport provider, 100% locally owned and operated, and proud partner of the MyShack group of companies. It's nextgentransportation.com, and it is the final week of the MLB regular season, and there is some great playoff races going on, man. Like you couldn't have asked for a better race in the West Division of the AL. Right, you got three teams. One's going to win the division. One's likely going to make the third wild card spot, and the other is going to miss out. So obviously, it won't be good for Houston, Texas, or Seattle, whoever misses. Although in theory, all three could make it. I just think it's highly unlikely that one of them is going to catch Toronto. So to break it all down and look at the scenarios and the favorites, and man, injuries for Tampa and Atlanta at like the worst possible time. As Matt Snyder from CBS Sports joins us now to talk a little MLB. And Matt, this is like the schedule maker couldn't have drawn it up any better for the wild card race and the AL West. So let's start there. What are you surprised that the Astros have fallen like this and now they're clinging on? They might fall all the way out of the playoffs.
You mean, am I surprised that the defending champs lost a series at home to the worst team in baseball and got swept by the second worst team in baseball? I thought they would have had it in the bag by now. I really, like, when I saw those head-to-heads coming up for the Rangers and you looked at the Astros when they had the A's and Royals coming up at home, it seemed like they should have had it tied up by now. Instead, now they're 2.5 games. I mean, it looks like this should be the Rangers' division to lose here. I know they have 4 against the Mariners to close the season, but they've got the Angels before then. And meanwhile, the Mariners and Astros play each other. So if you're in the Rangers seat, I think you say one of them take 2 or 3, just don't have one of you two sweep. Meanwhile, this is the Rangers' perspective. We go in and we take care of business against the Angels. Should be in the bag. I mean, they might even be able to rest some guys there the last couple days. Ridiculous turn of events. Just the way the Rangers started August. Remember, they had the 8-game winning streak and they'd won 12 of 14, but then they couldn't win a game to save their lives. And it looked like they might not even make the playoffs. And now all of a sudden they're back in the driver's seat. Just quite a last 2 months the Rangers have had.
Oh, it's honestly, it's been great. And the baseball season's this long and it allows you a little bit more time to come back from things. And I guess in the case of Houston, allows you more time to absolutely choke on it. One team that isn't choking, but my goodness, right now, they've got to be hating every day getting up, looking at the injured list. The Tampa Bay Rays are just decimated by injuries. And do you have an update on Matt? How many of these guys do you think they're going to get back for the playoffs?
Brandon Lau seems like a no. Shane McClanahan, we already knew was done. And remember, at the start of the year, Jeffrey Springs looked like he was going to be the Cy Young winner through 4 or 5 starts, and he's out for the season. Rasmussen's out for the season. Tyler Glasnow is okay, but he's been way better at home. And then he completely fell apart against the Blue Jays last time out there in the 6th inning. A lot of the bullpen is hurt. I don't know. They haven't been great for a while. As I pointed out in today's power rankings, they were 51-22 at the time, which it's almost halfway through the season. That's 73 games. Halfway is 81. They were on pace to win 113 at the time. They've just kind of been mediocre ever since then. That's a long time to be mediocre. More than a half season. That's not a small sample anymore. They're banged up, as you said. They're not near as good as they were in the first half. They had the Wander Franco situation happen. They're kind of a mess right now. So it's big on the Blue Jays to go in there and grab 2 of 3.
Matt, nice to meet you. First of all,
Yeah,
Brandon Belt. Love the guy as a player, but he's 35 years old now. He's missed a couple of weeks in a row. Do you think that a cold Brandon Belt is cause for concern? And, by extension, Davis Schneider and Spencer Horwitz, rookies that have really ripped it up, but how much time could they realistically get in the playoffs?
I'm not worried about Belt actually because of Horwitz and Schneider. I think, especially, and I'll say this: some of my concerns were alleviated by Vlad Jr. going deep twice because you just felt like, okay, if you get a hot Vlad going, that just makes everybody that much better. See that 2 home run game, maybe he's going a little bit, but at this point, Belt's upside's kind of limited. Schneider was so hot when he came up. I wouldn't mind just tapping into those guys anyway. So I think that you're going to see a lot of playing time there. I know that they'll probably play. They might play Biggio at first some to get Vlad off that knee there. But, I believe he played first yesterday though, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, okay. So, mixing him at first. Honestly, I'm not that worried about it. I like the kids. I think it was huge to see Vlad yesterday. So I'm not quite as worried about Belt there.
So the pitch clock is an intriguing rule. The other two obvious recent rules that I think made a difference were the bases and the shift.
Yeah.
The lack of shifts. Now, Al, so I love it as a fan, but I watch mostly Jays highlights, and I know that even though I love it, it probably affected Alek Manoah more than anybody else. Now, I'm just curious on how this rule, the pitch clock in particular, is accepted league-wide. I don't really see much commentary on it. And B, is there another player that was affected as much as Manoah? And maybe it's my speculation. Maybe it wasn't that. I'm just guessing one thing leads to another. It seems that
yeah.
didn't adapt
and you could
as
see
well.
how mentally that could kind of snowball as well when he's having a rough start. If he starts thinking in his head, oh, it's a clock. We heard some stuff from Max Scherzer earlier in the season. It is hard to tell how much it is causing Scherzer to have a down year because there's so much mileage on his arm and he's 39 years old and Father Time's undefeated. So it's coming for him at some point. So, but maybe at his age, if he had more time to kind of do his Mad Max thing and start around the mound, maybe he would have been just as good. And maybe he needs more recovery time in between. I think it's relievers have been affected the most because we've seen in recent years the move toward so many relievers that throw so hard and they basically empty their tank on every single pitch. And then they get full recovery time when they take like 30 seconds in between. Now they have to hustle a little more. And I think that's where we've seen a lot more bullpen meltdowns is because of that. In terms of the players that I've talked to, this won't shock you one bit. Almost every single position player loves it and thinks it's amazing. The pitchers are kind of divided. Like a lot of the pitchers say, we shouldn't have been taken so long anyway. Some of the other pitchers don't want to be a pariah by going on the record, but they'll kind of vent to you off a little bit. But maybe half and half on the pitchers, and about 98, 99% of the position players like it.
Interesting.
Matt Snyder joins us from CBS Sports talking MLB final week of the regular season. The Atlanta Braves starting to have some pitching concerns just due to injury, Matt. And injuries are the big, great unknown, and at times it can be the great equalizer, no question. Atlanta was absolutely rolling, as soon as having an unbelievable season. But this sudden rash of injuries for them and their starters, I know that what's his name's I forget his name right now, is probably going to be ready for the playoffs.
Matt Fried.
Matt, yeah. So what do you make of this, and how less of a favorite is Atlanta in your eyes now?
I still think they're the favorite. Fried's going to be okay. Spencer Strider, they would want to pitch as their number 2 anyway. So it's like seeing if the veteran Morton will be ready to take a game 3 start, which will be all the way in the NLDS. So we're talking almost 2 weeks from now. So I think that they'll probably be okay in the rotation, and they're still the obvious favorite. But here's the thing. With this many rounds of playoffs, the more rounds that you add, the less percent chance there is that the favorite's going to win. So even if they're the top team, they still, 20% chance, maybe less than that, maybe 18% chance to win it. That's a lot of room above there for somebody else to step in. And you just look no further than last year when the Dodgers won 111 games and they didn't even get out of their first round. They got beat by the Padres. By the same token, this same Braves team lost to the Phillies in the NLDS. So there could be a lot of funkiness in there. I would still say if you're like, okay, you can only bet on one team to win it, it's still the Braves. But if you said, okay, you can take the Braves or the field, take that field, man. Obviously take the field there. So that's where I am with the Braves.
And what about the NL wildcard race? You have Arizona, Chicago, Miami's a game back. I think Cincy's probably too far back now at 2.5 to go.
Yeah.
But the Cubbies, Miami, and Arizona, when you look at schedule and everything else, who do you like down the stretch in the NL?
Well, there's 2 spots after the Phillies. So Diamondbacks, Cubs, Marlins, you're going to get 2 in there. Probably Diamondbacks and Cubs, but nobody's reliable. Look, the Diamondbacks just went in and got beat by the Yankees 2 out of 3. Marlins, the personnel just doesn't look there, but they've been playing well. They just swept the Braves last weekend. The Cubs, they looked really, really good until they ran into the Diamondbacks, and they just swept the Rockies. But before that series, they had lost 10 of their last 13. So it's almost like all 3 of these teams are trying to, stay out of their own way and not doing a very good job of staying out of their own way. Kind of a war of attrition here. If anything, it's an argument for having fewer playoff teams because you can make an argument that none of Diamondbacks, Cubs, or Marlins deserve to be in the playoffs right now. But we're going to see 2 of them make it. So I'll stay with the Diamondbacks and Cubs right now, but by no means am I sure at all.
Matt, great stuff, man. Enjoy the final week and can't wait till the playoffs start. Appreciate your time very much. Thanks for joining us.
Take care, gentlemen.
That is Matt Snyder from CBS. Really, really enjoyed Matt joining us live on Sports 1440 and on Oilers Nation YouTube. A few quick texts to get to. I do love this one. Hey, JG, my wife caught on to something today. She said 2 months ago it was like pulling teeth asking me to drive her anywhere. The last few weeks I've jumped at driving her around. Then she said, I get it. Your sports talk is back on the radio in your car. Thought it would take her longer to figure me out. Thank you for bringing back the one thing that was missing in my life, and best of luck for a very long run on 1440 from Craig. Well, Craig, we appreciate that. And hopefully your wife appreciates it. She should be happy because now she's got, the driver's back. Craig's like, oh yeah, no problem. I'll run you around. Take your time. No big deal. I love it. That's nice. So, hey, keep, and good for her. She's a little bit of a sleuth. She figured it out. It didn't take her that long. So that's nice. So, TR, I like that during that break, you went and put your Jays hat on and your Jays sweater on to talk about the Jays. So now I know you go to Jays, like you're a pretty big diehard Jays fan.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I really enjoy it. There's a combination of reasons why. One of them is I think it's the best deal in sports, man. Go up and get a ticket for $20 from Newfoundland. If we want to go to a pro sporting event, the flight got to be part of it. So over the years, it's just always been affordable to, not always, but most of the time, to fly up. Maybe it's the most affordable of the sports. I love baseball anyway. My dad is in the Newfoundland Hall of Fame baseball. He won 7 batting championships. Was picked for Team Canada one year. Like he's a really, really good baseball player. So I grew up around it a lot. I played. Nice. I was an all-star. It ends there. I wasn't like iconic like him, but I love the game, everything about it, and I'm a Jays fan.
What position did you play?
I played outfield, or usually right field. Like I said, I was okay. My arm was all right. I kind of threw it out, to be honest. I would pitch once in a while, and before you even thought about any of that, pitch count or anything, and I would just kind of go in and lack of warm-ups, too many innings. But, I love the game. I only gave it up a few years ago, man. Really, like, local, I'm talking baseball, not slow pitch or whatever. A lot of people, when I say ball, a lot of people lump it. No, I like trying to hit a curveball. I like the challenge of, the whole, I love the way the game not only is played, but I love the history of it. I'm really into it way back. You ever see I can't remember, Ken Burns, the documentary, The 9 Innings of Baseball? One of my favorite documentaries ever. If that doesn't sell you on a sport, I don't know what will.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And, I will say this, the pitch counts being amazing. The pitch clock, like the games are so much faster now. It's way more enjoyable. There's less time with nothing going on. The bases had led to a few more stolen bases. Great. The switch or lack thereof is awesome because I felt like it just was ruining the game a little bit. So I've actually really liked their change. I know, some of the pitchers overall don't like it, but some do. And you got to work fast. And I think next year they'll be better for it because they got used to it. But I just think it keeps people in the flow. There's just less downtime because baseball used to have absolutely long stretches of nothing going on.
Yeah.
This is way better.
And not only that, Jason, I can't think of one of the 4 major sports in recent history that has had so many major rules. 3 of those are major changes. All went over really positive and everybody likes them. I can't think of anything so significant. Having no shift, changing the bases even an inch is huge. Yeah. And, the pitch clock is major. I mean, you'd argue if it's hockey, it's like making the net bigger. I mean, it's a huge, huge difference that has never been there. And it went over well.
And the fact that they basically took out pitchers hitting in the NL and no one even talks about it. Like, that's a pretty significant change too. So,
You're right. Yeah. It's masked. It's one that I also love. And it's masked amongst all the other changes. But, hey, hats off for baseball, winners of the year so far.
For sure. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you on Sports 1440. You can get involved, 833-401-1440 in our Jiffy Lube inbox. We'll return with 5 questions. We got Spec. We got Kevin Woodley making his 1440 debut and more on the Jason Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
For a limited time at McDonald's, enjoy the tasty breakfast trio. Your choice of sausage or chicken McMuffin or McGriddles with a hash brown and a small premium roast coffee for $5 plus tax. Available before 11 a.m. at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
Sports betting is now live at PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at PlayAlberta.ca.
Building or renovating, you want to work with someone who sees and understands your vision. BIE Engineering is a family-owned, experienced structural engineering consulting firm serving commercial and residential clients in Edmonton and surrounding area. Homeowner or large company, they'll work with you to help see your ideas through. BIE Engineering can help prevent problems, deliver solutions, and minimize your risk. BIE Engineering. Request a quote for your project today. Visit bieeng.com.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is sounding the call. Don't struggle through winter with a furnace you can't trust. For maintenance before winter strikes,
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
for furnace tune-ups and repairs to give peace of mind.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Or to scrap your old furnace for a brand new high-efficiency one.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
And with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your new furnace, it's gotta be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971, saving you more.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Stingray All Good Vibes is your destination on Amazon Prime Video for the best musical bundle. Stream thousands of concerts from Quello Concerts. Sing the most popular hits with Stingray Karaoke. Relax with Stingray Naturescape. And enjoy jazz and classical concerts. 5 services for the price of 1 on Stingray All Good Vibes with Prime Video channels. Go to primevideo.com/Stingray for your free trial. Prime subscription is required.
I dig it. Come on. Cool and at a bar, and I'm looking for some action. But like Mick Jagger said, I can't get no satisfaction. The girls are all around, but none of them want to get with me. My threads are fresh and I'm looking deaf. Yo, what's up with LOC? The girls is all jocking at the other end of the bar, having drinks with some no-name chump when they know that I'm a star. So I got him strolled over to the other side of the cantina. I asked the guy, why you so fly? He said, Funky Cole Medina.
That is such a classic old school tune, man. Woo! Oh, some sick lyrics in Funky Cole Medina.
And Wild Thing was the back.
Oh, Wild Thing. Yeah. And the thing is, Tone Locke's voice, man. Oh, you die for a voice like that. Just so deep. Whoa, killer. Absolutely killer. I like it. Like it a lot. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you as it's time now to get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. And at The Brick, they are committed to saving you more with their price guarantee. You can shop with confidence that you're getting the lowest prices. If you find a lower price, The Brick will match it. Go to thebrick.com or in person to any Brick store.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys. Question number 1. We've seen the lineup for the Oilers tonight out in Winnipeg. Looks like a preseason road game, but opportunity for some players. So who will you be watching in this one tonight?
Well, I know the PR is going to go with his East Coast guys, so or the Quebecers. So I'm gonna tonight. I am going to look at Max Warner on the back end. I know he's not NHL ready yet, but he is somebody who has taken big strides in his game the last few years in Moose Jaw. Now he's going to turn pro. He's going to play in the AHL this season. And so tonight will be a pretty good test. Winnipeg has some NHLers for sure, but they got a lot of AHLers as well. So one young guy I'll be watching is him.
For me, yes, of course. I think I've mentioned before Xavier Bourgault. But tonight, I look from afar at the teams that I used to play with, man. I'm proud to be an alumni member of the Tri-City Americans and Red Deer Rebels. Is it Grube, Jaden Grube, or Grub? How do you say that?
Pretty sure it's Grube.
Grube, but he's playing in the game. He's 6'3", 200. I like that. And he's been steadily improving. And I looked at his stats, man. He's always been on my radar just because I follow the Rebels, but 67 points last year, 71 penalty minutes, which is a new age 150. I don't know. I'm just curious. I mean, not necessarily I think he's going to make it or anything. I'm just curious to see how he plays. That's all.
Yeah, it's true.
Question number 2. If the Jays can do their job and get into the playoffs, which do you think would be the best matchup for them?
Well, if they finish 5th, isn't the most likely matchup going to be Tampa? Because they're 5th, and that means the top 2 teams get a bye, and then 3 plays 6. So I think right now it's, unless they finish 6th, I think they're going to finish 5th. So I think it's Tampa. And honestly, with all the injuries on Tampa Bay, that's the ideal matchup. They'll play them last week. They're playing them again this week. So I will say Tampa.
Tampa started 13-0, and I was at the game in Toronto that they broke that streak to start the season. But because of the injuries, I do agree with you. But if it's the, I mean, it could be the Rangers or the Twins. For some reason the Rangers are 7-1, but I don't know, man. I think there's lots of holes. I think they've played terribly, other than that one series against the Jays. The Jays want to get back at them, I assume. I think someone that would be a fan would say, no, please avoid the team that they're 1-7 against this year. But something to me says it's time. Eventually, the dam falls down, and I just don't see it. I think it's smoke and mirrors. It's a house of cards, and if the Jays play the Rangers, they come out on top.
Question number 3. We'll shift over to the NFL. Clearly, Zach Wilson doesn't look like he's the guy for the New York Jets. If they want to turn this thing around and fast, which quarterback do you think they could realistically bring in to do so?
For me, okay, first of all, I don't get all this with people giving up on. I mean, this guy got drafted in 2021. Football's always like that. These quarterbacks, you asked before, Jason, weren't there any great quarterback or more great quarterbacks? I don't know. I think we get a short fuse on the other end. I mean, at some point, okay, the hopes went down with Rodgers. We see that happened. Now, you got to fall back 10 yards and punt. Sorry for the pun, but you do. Now, this guy went, what was he, 2nd overall? 3rd overall just a couple of years ago. I didn't even realize that. Like, to me, I don't know. You give him another couple games, whatever. You chalk it up for experience. Your number one guy's down. But if you got to bring in someone who can, you know what? Go with Nathan Rourke. I know it's way out there. It's off the chart, but he's Canadian. He had a great exhibition. I think Jacksonville's not using him, or he's waived or something. He's out there. I'd give him a shot.
Yeah, he's on their practice roster. He's their number 3. You could bring him in if you like. I don't mind that at all. I would say I agree with you in one sense that K don't rush, but at the same time, I'm just not sure he has enough reps. And when you have one of their star receivers on the sidelines being caught saying this guy can't throw, like, here's the thing, Terry. Players know, right? Players know before anyone else. And I'm sure you played on teams where you're like, okay, this guy's got it or this guy doesn't have it, and the players always know. So if the receiver's saying that, I'm like, oof, all right. So here's what about trade for Jacoby Brissett? I'm not saying he's the answer long term, but I think he would give you a better short term option without it costing you a whole bunch.
Question number 4. In honor of the Dolphins win over the Broncos, what was the biggest blowout you've seen or been a part of?
For me, the biggest one I remember in the WHL, we beat Calgary 16-0. It might have been their first or second year, the Calgary Hitmen. And in all those tournament play, in ball hockey a few times, I remember in under 18, I think it was World Championships in Quebec, we had to play one of those teams. I don't remember, guy. It was like Mexico or something. It was something like that. And where it was goals for and against. I don't remember the scenario, but let's just say it was Russia on the other side. And like we both had to clobber a team like 20-0. I don't remember exactly because those aren't the kind of games you remember. But those sorts of situations. And I wish these tournaments that you usually see these scenarios happen in would somehow change that whole format, and a lot of them do, but I just think it's dinosaur-like to keep going with those rules and embarrassing teams. Sometimes you have to, though.
I will say the biggest one I remember was 1996 when the then Eskimos crushed Winnipeg 68-7 in the playoffs. Not a regular season game, playoffs. That's the year they went all the way to the Grey Cup and got robbed. Eddie Brown, also one of the greatest catches in CFL Grey Cup, Western Grey Cup history, was unbelievable. But I will go with 96 against the Bombers. And biggest blowout I was ever part of would have to go back to Tom Thumb in the Fulton Vale mini half ice arena. It's actually probably about a quarter ice arena, and we won 22-0. I still remember that because the other kid, their dad, I still remember. It's just so like there's certain things. I don't have a great memory of lots of things when I was little, but I was like 7 years old, and the other team's goalie I don't know, he kept shooting and scoring. And he wasn't very good, and his dad's trying to be confident. He looks at him, he's like, "Dad, it's 20-0. It doesn't matter." And it was true, but God, it was funny.
I can one up that. My team once lost 25-0. So those are painful ones. You remember them. Final question for you guys today. It's International One-Hit Wonder Day. There's a lot of them out there, but
I got a lot.
Who is your favorite when it comes to the one-hit wonders?
TR?
Okay, so I love Brandy, You're a Fine Girl by The Looking Glass. I'm glad it got resurrected in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That was interesting, but not my favorite. One of my favorites, for sure. So I would say for an American top 40 hit, I would say Steve Forbert, Romeo's Tune. Look into it. It's catchy. I don't think it was like a number one hit, but I love Steve Forbert, singer-songwriter, and as soon as you hear the first notes, you'll recognize it. Canadian-wise, Jeremy Fisher, a song called High School. He's from Atlantic Canada, and I think his stuff's brilliant, but is the only quote-unquote hit that I know of is called High School. Please check those songs out if you're a music fan. I promise you they won't disappoint.
Ooh, okay. Because like this is one of Connor's hardest questions he's ever asked, because the great part about one-hit wonders is they're very catchy. And lots of them, I'm like, oh, what about this one? Oh, what about that one? So Cons, I'm kind of cheating because I couldn't necessarily come up with one. So I went with a few different genres. Now I know she had a few other songs, but really she only really had one major hit. Really big hit, especially in North America. And because I know Terry loves ballads. Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor for a ballad, slow song at high school. You got the hands around the waist, hands on the shoulder kind of dance. It's a good one. But then I'm going to be 500 Miles, the Proclaimers.
The Proclaimers. Another minor hit was Misery and Happiness, but you're right. It is a one-hit wonder.
Yeah. And then probably my number one, because I remember it lots, because there was a place called Teen Center in Beaumont. They used to have as like a big dance thing, and you go there as a teenager. And I still remember, because I was in grade 7. And there's certain times in your life, Terry, that you would vividly remember wherever you were at. And I was on the dance floor, and there was a stage, and I was in grade 7, and there was some girls in grade 9, and the song "Take on Me" by Aha came on. And every time I think of that song, I think of Teen Center, and that is a killer track.
Did you see Weezer put out the cover a couple of years ago?
Yes.
The video?
Yeah. Not as good, but okay. I didn't
Not
mind.
as good. I think that was more of an homage than them trying to money grab. I think it was the whole album. I found it very interesting.
Yeah. Like, now I thought, Tara, there was the one song that I think you liked, the Verve Bittersweet Symphony. I thought you were going to go with that one.
Did you really? That's an old Rolling Stones song. Yeah. It's sampled from an old Rolling Stones song.
Symphony.
I do like it. Like it. No, that wouldn't land. I think if there was a fourth, it would be Video Killed the Radio Star.
Oh,
then
yes.
maybe Come On, Eileen. I've got quite a few that are loaded up in my head.
Now, like, Don't Worry, Be Happy. That's got to be up there, right? Like
Bobby McFerrin.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, I guess
didn't have any other songs, did he, that I can think of?
No, but it still wouldn't be up there for me. It's a decent song. I don't love it. It would probably land in my top 100. But it's just saying something. There's a lot of songs out there. I mean, my top 100 one-hit wonders.
Oh, well, they're top hit. Jeez. What about 8675309?
Jenny, Tommy Two-Tone?
Oof. Like,
possibly.
so catchy.
Soft
Such a
Cell,
catchy-
Tainted Love would be up there.
Yeah, Soft Cell, Tainted Love. Mambo number 5 from Lou Bega.
Yeah, a lot. It's funny. I don't like, it doesn't go hand in hand, obviously, but a lot of mine are from the 80s.
Yeah. What about
Right?
Funky Town?
Lip Sync?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be, I think that might be 70s, but that's up there. 60s is my favorite. 60s rock and roll / Motown. I guess 60s in general are generally my favorite era of music. I think there was so much blossoming, so much happening. But the other thing is that a lot of the songs I love are by bands that have lots of hits in the 60s. There started to be, once things got really commercialized, I mean, they always were, but with the advent of MTV, where literally video did kill the radio star and had a lot to do with it, I think you start to see more and more of those one-hit kind of things. Tub Thumping, Chumbawamba, we're getting into the 90s. There's another.
I hate that song.
Do you? I like, but another one of my favorites, Brim Full of Asha by Corner Shop.
Oh, yeah. That is a really good, that's a really good song. Oh, I like that too, man. Yeah. Especially because I sang all the words wrong until I looked it up. So
there are many of them. That'll be, when I do visit Edmonton and we see each other outside of the studio, maybe that's a night, a few beers and some one-hit wonders.
Dude, what about Walking on Sunshine? Katrina and the Waves.
Katrina and the Waves. Yeah, I saw them live years ago over in
What?
Yeah, it was we were over there in Switzerland for a ball hockey tournament. And they just happened to be playing at the local, it was.
And did they play that song? They must have.
Yeah. It was Sierra, Switzerland. It was like City Days, whatever their version of it is. Okay. They were there, and so were Helix, Rock You Like a Hurricane.
Buddy, I love that. I don't even know the name of the cassette, but I used to have the Helix thing, and I just played that thing to death. God, I like that.
Marcy, Playground, Sex and Candy's definitely in my top 10 one-hit wonders. There's no doubt.
We should do a top 10 songs you hate the most. Maybe we'll do that next on Thursday, because I got a lot of that are on there. And Kate might have about 6 of them. So
okay,
we'll see. Tara, it's great having you on as always, buddy. Enjoy the night. We will chat with you on Thursday.
Goodbye, Connor. Goodbye, Greg. Goodbye, Edmonton. Go Oil. Go Jays. I'll catch you guys on the rebound.
TR just tipped his hat too. What a beauty. That's why sometimes it pays to watch the show. You can always see the funny little tidbits watching on Oilers Nation YouTube. And of course, thank you for listening on Sports 1440. Let's get to a young Connor Halley Sports 1440 update brought to you by Edmonton Kubota. Super jacked. Sports Radio is back, and right now they are giving you the savings. 0% financing for 84 months on all of their compact BX tractors. Shop online at edmontonkubota.com or go see them in store just off 156th Street.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
Yes.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
It's time for a Sports 1440 update.
It's game day. The Oilers looking to pick up their first win of the preseason tonight in Winnipeg. Puck drop 6 o'clock off the ice. The team assigned their 2023 second-round pick, Bo Eke, to the OHL's Barrie Colts. 2 games tonight in the NFL as we wrap up Week 3 at 5:15. It's a battle of 2-0 teams as the Bucks host the Eagles. Then at 6:15, the 1-1 Rams heading to Cincy to take on the 0-2 Bengals. Joe Burrow questionable for Cincinnati in that one. I'll be at the Canadian Brewhouse North location, 127th Ave and 97th Street if you want to come by for a chance to win a trip or two to the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Some injury news from the weekend. Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams will miss the remainder of the season with a torn ACL. Saints quarterback Derek Carr will miss next week with a shoulder injury. And Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo suffered a concussion in their loss to the Steelers last night. His status is uncertain for next week. Light night in Major League Baseball, just 4 games on the schedule. We'll have the Angels taking on the Rangers at 7:40. Also, Astros in Seattle to take on the Mariners and the Giants hosting the Padres. Earlier today, it was the Yankees victorious over the Diamondbacks, winning 6-4. The Jays off tonight. They'll take on those Yankees tomorrow in Toronto, kicking off a 3-game series. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Sportsnet's Mark Spector and Kevin Woodley of In Goal Magazine.
This has been a Sports 1440 update.
some cowbell in there. Jeez. Sure, I noticed that before. I'd have to elevate that one in the great one-hit wonders. Oh, gosh, I love that song, man, for a long time. Oh, she was a beauty. I think I got that one back on a record that my parents had bought, and I think it was called something like Stars of 45, and there was like 45 songs, and it was like a triple set record. Oh man, came in a white container. I think we might still have it at home. But used to listen to that one all the time. It's a great song. How can they only have one? How can they only have one hit? Like, it had such good promise. Didn't live up to it. It's tough. But man, like, we could do a whole show on if you only could have one hit wonder song, because there's lots of good ones, but you can only listen to one for the rest of your life. Not every day, of course. What would you choose as your one hit wonder song to listen to? It's not an easy answer because there's lots of good ones. Welcome back to the Monday edition of the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Because, hey, let's be honest, sports and music goes hand in hand. Right? So some of your great memories in sports will also involve some music. Like, I'll say right now, baseball might have the best connection to music simply because of when the batter comes up to the plate, they play their songs. But right now, when you have closers and you have some dominant closers and they come out of the bullpen, and we all got to thank Ricky Vaughn, right? The Wild Thing, he started it, and it's caught on across baseball, and it's unbelievable, man. Like, there are certain games where I'd be like, I want to go to a game there just so when then the closer comes out, I want to be there. I want to experience it. Like Rivera in New York, are you kidding me? That was unreal for the longest time. Right now for the Mets, Diaz, great. So I like it. Let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction. They are apologizing for creating traffic headaches for you right now. They're working in some pretty high-profile places on the Yellowhead and Stony Plain Road. They appreciate your patience. It'll all be worth it when it's over. GS Construction. As Mark Spector joins us. Spec, I know this is a tough question.
Okay, let's hear.
You get only one hit wonder that you can hear anytime you want. What is it?
Oh, man, that's like, I don't know. Like when I think of one-hit wonders, I think, Boston had the greatest one. They were the best one-album wonder band of my life, right? Remember Boston? They had one album.
Oh,
tune got tons of airplay. Like, it was the most unbelievable album, and they never did anything else. How about did Looking Glass ever do anything other than Brandy? Did you ever hear a King Harvest outside of Dancing in the Moonlight? Like, there's so many. I don't know what's the best one. I don't know who the best one is. I mean, did who was that cat from Vancouver that did Mama Let Him Play? Jerry Deuce Let Him Play. That's pretty good right there. He didn't do much.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay. All right. I'll go with that one. It's good. Hey, you know what? There's lots of really good one-hit wonders. They should just do there must be an album. Like, there should be somebody who should put together like a place. And I know that now everybody just downloads their music, but it's going to be like the greatest one-hit wonders, and just go and you could click on it and they're all right there. That would be amazing. Maybe there is one. Somebody let me know. Is there one? Because I just want to go and download all the best one-hit wonders in an easy to find place.
Probably Spotify has that. You know what? Next break.
I'll have to look. All right. No, I don't think he's a one-hit wonder, Spec, but he only got into one preseason game because he's 18 years of age. But Bo Akey for one game, like, it's a preseason game and he's an 18-year-old kid, but man, he left a pretty positive impression. That kid's patience and poise with the puck and confidence to try some passes. I was like, it was awesome to watch last night.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And that really says so much about a young player, right?
Yeah.
The execution is almost the last thing. He'll figure out the execution. The fact that he's comfortable with the puck in his stick, he wanted the puck, he was okay to hang on to the puck, he tried some plays. Listen, and I'm not picking on Jesse Puljujarvi, but he's a perfect example. As he lost confidence he also lost the ability to hang on to the puck for more than a millisecond, right? Remember his last 6 months there? He got it and he moved, got it and he moved it. And to me, from the press box, I thought there's a player lacking confidence. Well, this kid's 18. He has no right to have that kind of confidence, Jay. And man, did he show it. He just was like, he didn't make all great plays or anything, but he had the confidence and the wherewithal to hang on to the puck and make the right play and make some good plays. You know what? For a guy playing his first preseason game, I sure did like what I saw.
Well, it was interesting when I asked Brandon Sutter about it, like his face lit up. He's like, we were talking about it on the bench and we're laughing. It's, him and Derek Ryan, they're like, man, when I came in and Derek Ryan was an older rookie, they're just, I was scared to even try a play. And these guys are out here, and we talked about the one where he did that blind backhand pass through his legs on the wall, right into the slot on the power play. And I'm just like, are you joking right now? Like, that was awesome. Like, I just like the guys are even, he's got the vision to see it and he completed the pass. Because it's trying it is one thing, but completing it's another one. And you know what? He's going to play junior this year. He's going to play junior next year, and then we'll see where he goes. And who knows what happens to him. But man, for one preseason game, that's a pretty good impression. And so I move forward to tonight, Spec. And Raphael Lavoie doesn't necessarily make those type of plays. Who knows? But he's got a good shot. And man, if there was ever a game where you look, Winnipeg doesn't have a ton of big names dressed. They got their top line, sure, and they got Morrissey and Pionk, but that's really about it. Like, if Raphael Lavoie, if you can't make an impression and stand out tonight, Spec, against a team that doesn't have a lot of NHLers, it's only going to get more difficult from here as we get later in preseason. Usually the competition gets harder.
Yep. Whatever it is Raphael Lavoie does best, he better start doing it tonight. He's a 23-year-old player. He's been in the organization. He's taken steps, right? He took a nice step last year in Baco. And they're in a position, the Oilers, where even if he plays great, they're going to have a hard time hanging on to this guy. He crack a team that's going to go with 21 players. And I'm here to tell you, 7 of them are going to be defensemen. So he's got to play so well in this camp that he beats out a guy that we today consider to be a regular right winger. And that's, he's the order is tall for Rafi Lavoie. He won't do it if he doesn't stand out in some of these games. Like, it's time for him to take a step and say, hey, look at me. I'm part of this thing. Don't put me on waivers because the Canadians are going to pick me up or Ottawa's going to pick me up. He needs to stake a claim because otherwise there's just not a spot. There's only 21 spots on this roster, man. And he's got to try to find a way to be one of them.
Quickly, Hugh Jackson on the Henday east northbound just past the baseline. The traffic is backed up past Y Road. So that's obviously heading north. So try to avoid that if you can, or if you're now stuck in traffic, just crank it up on Sports 1440. So there you go. Jason Gregor, Mark Spector with you. Spec, he's definitely the one guy there. It's funny. His winger mate, Adam Ernie, is in the exact same boat. Now, the difference is he has some NHL experience, but he doesn't have a contract. And he's a guy, I think, like he's a left shot on a team that has a lot of left shots, Spec. Like Adam Ernie is going to have to almost have an out-of-body experience, I think, in training camp here for him to earn himself a contract when I just look at the tea leaves and I look at the amount of contracts they have.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. They're having a hard time hanging on to a guy they've invested in. I heard you say the other day, and I nodded my head, organizations, when they've invested a bunch of time, a draft pick, and then several years, the way the Oilers have in Lavoie, if it's a toss-up between him and Ernie, who they haven't invested in for a second, you know who they're picking. So Adam Ernie, if you think Lavoie's in a tough spot to make this team, and he's a right shot, right winger, and he can score. He's got that gift. Ernie's really, really got to impress for them to make room in their contract situation and their cap to sign him. I sense, he's probably playing for the scouts from the other 31 teams every bit or more than he's playing for the, coaching staff of the Edmonton Oilers to notice him. Is that fair?
I think that's a very fair assessment, right? And you know what? For him, he just looks, and maybe that's what it was. He goes, hey, I'll go there, and I can we've seen that. Chris Versteeg was on a PTO in Edmonton and signed in Calgary, so it can happen, but there's a guy who's really got to stand out. And if you can't stand out tonight, I just think it gets a little bit more difficult. Jay Woodcroft today said, he's intrigued by Bouchard and Nurse playing together. They've played together in the past. He has CC with Kulak, which leaves Desharnais or Broberg with Ekholm. And he hinted that, hey, maybe playing with Ekholm will help Broberg's game somewhat. And it was interesting how he said kind of help his game and calm it down. I'm just like, geez, like, do you think the Oilers are in the position to do that? Or if Desharnais is playing better, does he just win that job automatically?
Well, there's two things going on here. It's been all of us, many of us have made this prediction this year that they're probably going to give this is Broberg's big year, and he probably gets Ekholm to help him settle into the role. The way it helped Bouchard, we're hoping that it helps, or the Oilers are hoping that it helps Broberg. So that now that I see Ceci and Kulak paired together the whole camp, that tells me that's probably a pair. We see Nurse and Bouchard, that tells me that's probably a pair. So where's the battle, right? The battle's going to be who gets to play with Ekholm, Desharnais or Broberg. You know, I'm here to tell you, the organization hopes that Broberg wins that battle. You know, Broberg's that young guy. He was a first-round pick. He has all the, you know, he skates like the wind, blah, blah, blah. We've heard it all about Broberg. I'm a little tired of saying it myself. It's time for him to show it. He'll get the shot to win the job. And Desharnais is just going to be chasing him and hounding him and standing there ready. If Broberg doesn't take this ball and run with it this year, Desharnais is going to be all over that spot. And, you know, it's going to get us to the trade deadline, and then they're going to see if they have to upgrade. But this is a huge, huge opportunity and moment for Broberg, pal. He's got to get after it here. He's got to start to do some things that make you notice him. We all love his body of, you know, he's big. He skates. He looks pretty calm with the puck. Put it together. It's time for him to put it together. We got to leave the rink talking about how well Broberg played once in a while, because we sure haven't done it enough times yet, have we?
Mark Spector joins us from Sportsnet. Yeah, I would agree with you. And the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. Spec, Peterson and Sutter both played last night, both in the middle. Got a little bit different opportunities. Peterson saw some power play time. Was in the shootout. Sutter more defensive zone draws on the penalty kill. What did you see from either one? Did you see this battle, which probably was fairly even going into camp? Did anything last night change your opinion? Do you put one guy slightly ahead of the other after one game?
Well, I got Sutter ahead of Peterson all day before the thing even starts. Okay. To me, it goes like this. If Sutter is Sutter and Sutter does the things he does, he's going to get that job. They're going to sign him, and there's not going to be room for Peterson. Peterson's the backup plan. If it's not there for Sutter, then Peterson's standing there tapping his foot saying, hey, boys, what about me? He skates really well. I thought he handled the puck more than a lot of I'm not going to tell you I've watched Peterson play much when he's in Anaheim. I didn't notice him much, but I thought he handled the puck well last night. He took it through the neutral zone a couple times. I don't mind that. But I don't think that it's much up to Peterson. I think that job is all up to Sutter. If he's healthy, if he's playing like Ken Holland said, if he's anything close to what he was when he was 30, he's going to get that job, and Peterson's going to be looking elsewhere.
Spec, enjoy game 2 of the preseason tonight, and we will chat with you tomorrow.
Going to be busy in the old office, eh? You got a hockey game on one screen, you got the Blue Jays on the other screen, maybe Monday night game somewhere up there. I'm not sure I got enough TVs, Jay.
Hey, I'm also I'm trying to watch the Maple Leafs preseason game too. So yeah, I got a lot of things going. That's why tonight the PBR is a dream. So I'm not watching the baseball one because Jays have the night off, but I probably should because it does have AL ramifications. So maybe I'll have to channel surf there too. I'll get the con man working on that. All right. Have a good one, Spec.
Yep.
That's Mark Spector and the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. When we return, he will make his Sports 1440 debut. Kevin Woodley's been on the show for a long time, just coming to a new station, but with the same insight when we talk goaltending with Woodley. Next on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440 and live on Oilers Nation YouTube, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website, features a variety of responsible gambling tools such as a time clock, deposit limits, and more. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca to find out more.
For a limited time at McDonald's, enjoy the tasty breakfast trio. Your choice of sausage or chicken McMuffin or McGriddles with a hash brown and a small premium roast coffee for $5 plus tax. Available before 11 a.m. at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League is entering its second season of gameplay. The JPHL now offers academic and athletic opportunities in the U14, 15, 17, and U18 age divisions. All JPHL games are broadcast online on Silent Ice TV with a showcase-style game schedule and high level of travel and accommodations for its team, staff, and players. To learn more about why the JPHL is the fastest-growing elite hockey academy stream in Western Canada, visit juniorprospectshockeyleague.com.
How exciting is it to have Sports Talk Radio back in Edmonton?
Tie game, bottom of the ninth with a full count. The kick, the pitch. It's high, it's far, it is gone! Walk-off home run!
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. Edmonton Kubota is excited to welcome back Sports Talk Radio Sports 1440. We'll be dialed in for every minute. Get it done, and then some at Edmonton Kubota. All compact BX tractors on sale with 0% financing for 84 months. Stop by on 128th Ave or visit edmontonkubota.com. Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
When it's time to talk about drugs with your teen, do you need support? Do you have questions and wish you had more information? The Parent Support Hub at Drug Free Kids is there to help you with everything related to teen substance use. The Parent Support Hub is also a virtual safe space where parents receive advice and support. This free 24/7 service allows parents to chat online and even speak directly to a mental health counselor. For more details and support with your teen, Drug Free Kids Canada.
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson. Are you one of those people out there looking for something different to heat and cool your home? Weiss Johnson is Edmonton's cold climate heat pump specialist and would love to explain to you how Trane heat pumps are a reliable, cost-effective alternative for your home's heating and cooling needs. Order your Trane heat pump now and take advantage of the generous government rebates that are available. Trane, it's hard to stop a Trane. Call the most experienced HVAC company around with over 45 years in business. Visit wjcools.com today.
Hi, Larry Ricci from Vision RV. I hope you're able to get out and travel this summer. Wherever the highway took you, we'd love to hear about it. In fact, why not bring in your RV for winterizing and show us those holiday selfies? We offer some very affordable and thorough winterizing packages to ensure your investment is protected. Or maybe you're thinking of upgrading for next season. We have the selection you're after, and you'll receive top dollar for your trade. Vision RV, just south of the Yellowhead on Highway 60.
Hey, Alberta drivers, new rules are in place to protect roadside workers. Now, when you see first responders, tow trucks, or highway maintenance vehicles with flashing lights on the side of the road, you must move over if it's safe to do so. If you can't move over, slow down to at least 60 kilometers an hour. Help protect Alberta's roadside workers. It's the law. Learn more at alberta.ca/roadworkersafety. A message from the Government of Alberta.
No matter where your potential customers live, no matter what they watch, read, or listen to, you need a marketing plan that connects with them. Let the marketing experts at Stingray Media Solutions create a turnkey advertising strategy for your business, including radio and TV and out-of-home advertising, social and search ads, plus the creative and production. Find out the most cost-effective ways to reach your target audience and grow your business. Get started now at stingraymediasolutions.com.
Everyone knows you have to maintain your car. Lots of moving parts. And your house also has complicated systems to be inspected, cleaned, and repaired every year. Well, your RV has all the systems your house has, plus most of the ones in your car, too. I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV. Your RV is the most complex thing you own. Ain't that right, Bob?
There's a lot going on with your RV, Rick.
And since your RV is used, you need someone who specializes in RVs that have seen a few miles. Right, Bob?
You've pretty much seen it all, Rick.
My staff of RV service specialists do more than just a quick winterization. We provide a full inspection, top to bottom. Check the furnace, plumbing, and electrical systems, as well as the brakes, wheels, and suspension. The whole point of an RV is to enjoy the great outdoors with your family. And you can't do that if it's not in top condition. That's where we come in. I'm Rick Showers, and I look forward to seeing you.
And that's NoBull.
NobleRV.ca.
We roll through Monday afternoon, game day. Oilers into Winnipeg. It's a long bus ride from Fargo, but they should make it in time as they get set to take on the Winnipeg Jets tonight. Kevin Woodley is going to join us momentarily. I should announce this. The Western Hockey League just released this, that they have announced that Kevin Constantine, who is the head coach of the Wenatchee Wild, has been suspended pending an independent investigation into alleged violations of WHL regulations and policies. So now, Kevin Constantine had been suspended as a coach prior. Kevin Constantine has a previous record of being a tad over the top, right? Forcing guys to ride the bus for hours in their gear and lots of different ridiculous things in the past. And now he is also being way too defensive-minded as a coach. But now he is being investigated. So we'll see what comes of it. So I guess we'll find out. But back you launch investigation like this, probably not looking great for him, I would think. So see what happens. Hey, Greg, your nephew just got an assist. Oh, I'm aware. It was perfect right during the commercial break. Hey, man, you got to get noticed. I don't care who you are. You need to get noticed in the preseason. Veteran guys, especially young guys coming to a new organization, you want to do it, right? Raphael Lavoie, I think he's got a huge opportunity tonight. He's going to have to show up, though. Right? Now, it doesn't always mean with points. Now, points, they definitely help. Don't get me wrong. I thought Dylan Holloway had a really strong game last night. Didn't have any points. He had a really strong game. You made an impact. When you were done, you're leaving the building. You're like, hey, Dylan Holloway, noticed him. He was all around the puck all night. And that's what Big Raph, if he really wants to push for a job, we'll see. Because it's going to all be up to him. Hey, Greggs, do you think Woodcroft's putting Lavoie into a position to succeed compared to who Lane Peterson played with yesterday? Again, if you need your line mates to be the main reason for your success, that helps. Don't get me wrong. It helps. But, hey, we've seen in Edmonton the last few years, just because you play with Connor McDavid doesn't mean you produce. So I don't know if I can say for sure that it's just on the line mates. Now, this is one game. Like, I looked at last night's roster. Which right winger would you have taken out to put him in? Like, you're going to say, okay, Derek Ryan. Like, the preseason's also, you want guys opportunity, but you also want to have continuity. And he's played and Peterson, by the way, is basically filling a spot for Ryan McLeod, right? If Ryan McLeod was healthy, I'm not sure Lane Peterson would be in that line. I think McLeod would be there with Fogle and Ryan. And then Sutter would be with Janmark and Holloway. Because if you look at it, that's kind of, they've given us a blueprint of what Jay Woodcroft thinks his lines will be, and then he'll shuffle a few things around. So I don't know if it's more about Lane Peterson getting a bigger opportunity or the fact that Ryan McLeod is banged up to start camp. If Ryan McLeod's healthy, he probably plays in that role last night. So we'll see where that goes. Hey, guys, did anyone else see Pelche throwing barbs at Sutter? Yeah, and he said he was joking. Humor's allowed. Humor's allowed. He just said, hey, they know number 49 more than number 22. So it's a little bit of a joke. I think humor's allowed. I didn't think it was that massive of a, to me, that's not a barb. So I don't look at it too much like that. So you'll see. Hey, Greg, is there any other defenseman that could push Desharnais or Broberg right now? Well, the only one I would see is Niemelainen. And like Desharnais's bigger than Niemelainen. He's a right shot. So I don't see how Niemelainen really pushes him, to be honest. Like, if you're Marcus Niemelainen, you would probably hope that a team would claim you on waivers and just get another opportunity, a different of opinion somewhere else. Right? That's how I view it at this point. I don't see any way around it. That's just, He's now, probably 2 injuries away from getting in the lineup, though, right? 1 from a recall. And that's what happens sometimes when you become a better team, right? Like, you've got to elevate your game. And if you don't elevate your game, then it's hard. And so Niemelainen, like before, Desharnais, look at the last few years. Now he's a right shot. That helps. But look at the last few years. Look at the improvement of Desharnais. He's taken bigger steps, I think, the last 3 years than Niemelainen has. And that's why Desharnais was the guy who was in the regular season and playoffs for the majority of time last year for the Edmonton Oilers. So, hey, guys, I thought it was funny, but it's also a barb, and that's from a Flames fan. I loved it myself. But was it a big barb? Like, he's suggesting that the coach, maybe didn't play him, but was he ready to play last year? That's the question, right? Like, it's game 1 of a preseason. Let's see if Pelche, because what happens if he's not in the lineup this year for the Flames? Then is it basically now he's just put himself, as a bullseye on his back to say, I was chirping a coach with 2 Stanley Cups because I had 1 good preseason game. And I don't think it's that bad of a bar, but and I don't mind it, but now there's a little bit of pressure on him to have to kind of show up and make sure that he does continually get noticed. No question about that. We'll find out where Kevin Woodley is. Oh, Woodley's getting a fine, and it's his first appearance. And his MIA. Conman, what's up?
Great question. I don't know. He's not answering the phone. He's hasn't joined our little link that we sent him to hop on via the stream. So I think you're right. He confirmed. He said he'd love to come on today, and now we're looking for him. So the fine will be hefty.
Hey guys, any idea on what happened with Constantine? No, and I'm not even going to speculate. Right? I will quote Maya Angelou. When someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them. If anybody at the start of the season would have asked, hey, which coach do you think might be under investigation? And now this could be for a variety of different things, but just to even be under investigation and suspended from your team, you've done something, right? They don't just randomly do it. At least I wouldn't think. Although I will say this, the WHL, they suspended those players from Moose Jaw last year. And based on what they wanted the players to do and being truthful, those players did. And I'm not sold that story is necessarily over as far as the players and their families saying, hey, wait a sec. You kind of drug our kids' names through the mud. And there wasn't really a reason to do it. Now, that's totally different. I have no idea what Constantine did. But I do know that investigation, there's some people that were being investigated that felt like, hey, wait a sec. We did exactly what you wanted us to do, and then this is how you treated us. So not necessarily big fans of it. So in this case, obviously there had to be some sort of complaint, I would think, against the head coach. Into what realm, I have no idea. But his past record of how he treated some of his players was less than desirable. That's a fact. I can't speculate on what he did this time, but his past track record would tell you that maybe going old school might not have been the best idea. Right? Some people have a hard time. Change is difficult for all of us. Think about how many people out there tell you, you know what, I got to lose 10 pounds. And that's just about yourself. I got to lose 20 pounds. And they can't do it. It's really hard. It's hard to change your habits. Whatever they are. It's hard to do it. Right? Everybody has something maybe that we'd like to change about ourselves. Right? I know I do. Few things. I'd like to be able to count to 10, be a little bit calmer in times. Work some days, not always. Tell you that. Ask my wife. She'd be the first one to attest to that. So change isn't easy. But when you're in certain positions, if you don't change, guess what? You're out. It's that simple. That simple. Now, there's a lot of people texting in that, hey, Gregor, there is a one-hit wonder channel on iHeartRadio. Well, which one? Let me know. Let me know. I don't have time to search all over. I want to know. Hey, boys, you should get Terry Ryan to sing some AC/DC at the beginning of the show to get everyone pumped up. Well, TR doesn't mind singing. And you know what? In 2 weeks' time, the opening week of the NHL regular season, maybe I'll have a little singing. Who doesn't like a little singing? So.
One Hit Wonder, the station, very easy to find.
Oh, yeah?
The last songs played, Respect Yourself by Bruce Willis, Listen to Your Heart by DHT, and Am I Wrong by Nico and Vinz.
Wow. I forgot Bruce Willis. Oh, my goodness. That's a classic. Classic. So, hey, guys, anyone else notice the refs are quick to put the Sens in the box? I don't even cheer for them, but every game I watch them, the refs give them penalties that are weak constantly. Well, now let's look at last season quickly on which teams in the NHL were the most penalties. Because did you know, now the Sens, I think the Sens draw a lot of penalties, but they also take a lot of penalties, kind of like the Edmonton Oilers. Did you know the Edmonton Oilers had the 6th most power play opportunities and were shorthanded the 6th most times? So last year, the Ottawa Senators were the 2nd most penalized team in the NHL, 296. The Arizona Coyotes were the most at 319. Then you look at power play opportunities, Ottawa Senators, the most in the league at 306. So you can't, if you're seeing them take a lot of penalties, sure, but they're also getting a lot of power plays. And if you actually look at numbers like that, there is a correlation. Teams that get a fair amount of power plays, in most cases, not always, are getting a fair amount of penalty kill. Like, look at Vegas. Vegas had the fewest time shorthanded in the NHL, and I think the 2nd fewest power plays. Like, it was 205 to 196. Like, it was ridiculous. Edmonton games had like 160 more total power play chances for both teams than a Vegas game. So there's something about games I don't know, maybe the players, there's more emotion in those games, and all of a sudden there's one penalty, or maybe the official's like, oh my goodness, I've called one, now I got to call the other, and back and forth, maybe. But you're right that Ottawa gets a lot of calls against them, but they also gets a lot of calls in their favor. So it kind of works out both ways for them. So see how it goes. We'll take a quick break, come back and wrap things up. It is the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. You can text us 833-401-1440 in our Jiffy Lube inbox. Be sure to stop in for a Pennzoil Platinum full synthetic oil change right now. And when you do, you're going to receive a digital $20 gift card for one of only 30 local vendors. You get to pick which one you want. Support local, jiffylubeservice.ca.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971, saving you more.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Sports betting is now live at playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at playalberta.ca.
Stingray All Good Vibes is your destination on Amazon Prime Video for the best music bundle. Stream thousands of concerts from Quello Concerts. Sing the most popular hits with Stingray Karaoke. Relax with Stingray Naturescape. And enjoy jazz and classical concerts. 5 services for the price of 1 on Stingray All Good Vibes with Prime Video channels. Go to primevideo.com/Stingray for your free trial. Prime subscription is required.
Hi, Larry Ricci from Vision RV, reminding you that now's the time to start thinking winterization. The cold stuff is on the way, so be proactive and protect your investment with Vision RV's thorough and affordable winterizing packages. You'll be all set for the off-season with help from our amazing service team. So kick back and relax in our comfy customer lounge while we get to work, or stroll around and see what's new. We look forward to seeing you here at Vision RV, just south of the Yellowhead on Highway 60.
Your co-op grow team are your local experts because we live here too. Our agronomic specialists stay up to date with the latest research and technology to help support your entire farm operation. Talk to our team for advice tailored to your farm's needs. We have recommendations to help you optimize your crop yield and quality while enhancing the health of your land. Co-op, we're all growing together. Here for your farm, here for your family. Learn more at coop.crs/farm.
At jackpotcity.net, you can do amazing things with just one casino chip. Discover a world of incredible casino games with over 500 high-quality online slot games, including the world-renowned progressive jackpot slot Mega Moolah. Play for free at jackpotcity.net and get treated as a VIP 24/7. So visit jackpotcity.net today on your tablet, laptop, or mobile. Jackpot City, a whole world of casino games. 18 plus, please play responsibly. This is not a gambling website.
Needless to say, I keep a check. She was a bad, bad, nevertheless. Calling it quits now, baby, I'm a wreck. Crash at my place, baby, you're a wreck. Needless to say, I'm keeping a check. She was a
Welcome back. One late lineup change for the Oilers. The plan was to have Vincent Desharnais play back-to-back, but maybe he's a little banged up. Who knows? But Philip Broberg got pulled off the ice at the morning skate today in practice. And why? Because he's now in. He will play with Hoffenmeyer, and Desharnais will not dress tonight for the Oilers on the back end. So another opportunity for Broberg. See what he can do. And I look at their defense, Kulak, Ceci. You have Deneen. You have Warner. Could they put Broberg on the number one power play tonight? Why wouldn't you? What else are you going to put there? Just a small little thing. Hey, if you want to get guys a little bit of confidence, why not try it? Just food for thought. So see how it goes. Hey, Greg, is 1440 going to have a Monday Night Football after 6? No, we have a contract that is existing until the end of the year. So no, not right away, but maybe in the future. Coming in October, we will have Fox Sports from 9 p.m. until 7 a.m. and then 24/7 on the weekends. And if you're an NFL fan, if you're a football fan, the weekend coverage is going to be great in NFL season. And then they've got lots of other shows for basketball and baseball. And they even got a few guys who like hockey, which is nice for Canadian fans. That is great. So there you go. A few more texts coming in our Jiffy Lube inbox. Jay Gregor at tsn1260.ca. Hey, boys, any reason why Edmonton still plays 8 preseason games? I see some other teams are playing 5 and 6. What's the point? Especially when the team is pretty much set. From Justin. Justin, it's a very good question. I can tell you right now why. M to the O to the E to the E, or sorry, M to the O-N-E-Y. That's why. It's that simple. You have an extra home game in the preseason. Make a little extra cash. There's no other reason why. You don't need it, but that's why they do it. I would agree with you wholeheartedly for the next few years in Edmonton that they are a highly competitive team. The preseason, for the amount of, even if you had spots open for 1 or 2 guys, you would have more than enough time in 6 games to get them a good look. So that is why they don't do it. Hey, guys, you mentioned Ottawa and all their power play and penalty kill. Isn't that just the refs and managing the game? I'd have to go through every game and see. In some cases, maybe. Now, there are some teams that had 27 and 37 more power play opportunities than penalty kill. And then there's some teams who had like Arizona, right? Like, and Arizona's a bad team, right? But Arizona had infinitely more time shorthanded than they were on the power play. Significantly more. So for some teams, yeah, it's close. But there are some. So I don't know how can you say, well, they manage this team's games, but they don't manage that one. We'd have to go look and go game by game and see if it happens. All right. And how many games, like what if one game they're up 3 power plays and the next game they're down 3? So they still even out and they have the same amount of penalty kills and power plays. I'd literally have to go through it. It would be painstaking. And to be honest, I don't have the time. I'll be bluntly honest. If someone would like to do it, create it, go through it for every team, I'm all over. But it's not, I'm not sure how realistic it is. So we'll see. Hey, guys, I'm just checking in on Connor. I haven't heard him talk much today. Is he that distraught about Mike Williams? Comes in from Jerry. Well, Jerry, you might be onto something.
No, I'm good. I'm good, Jerry. I mean, hey, we're used to it as Charger fans. There's always some sort of injury. Greg, I remember very fondly driving back from Elks practice one day, and you sent me a text about Hunter Henry, broke the news to me. It's going back like 4 years now. Derwin James, Joey Bosa, whoever it might be. You know what? You gotta go with that next man up mentality. They drafted Quentin Johnson for a reason. They got Joshua Palmer there. They'll find a way to get through it. It could not be worse than last year when Justin Herbert was throwing to DeAndre Carter and Michael Bandy for a couple games. So, we still got Keenan. You got some other guys there.
Well, you got the rookie. Didn't their first round pick a receiver?
Yeah, Quentin Johnson.
Yeah,
and he'll get more looks. Joshua Palmer is going to get more looks. The depth at receiver drops off pretty quickly after that. But hey, you're still pretty good 3 deep. You got some nice tight ends. Hopefully Eckler can get healthy. Not panicking quite yet. And it's Raider week. It's fantastic. Best time of the year.
And man, what about DeAndre? What about Swift? Man, he's just rushing the ball like a wild man so far this season. Tons of carries for the Eagles, and so far, like it really makes that. I'm wondering about that. Some people like, look at the Eagles and what they gave up and to get him and what they paid him compared to what they paid the 3 different guys last year. I think Swift so far is looking like a better decision.
100%. Yeah, you're talking about it right now. He's averaging 9 yards per carry right now. Like, that's absolutely unbelievable. That's probably not going to stay for the remainder of this game. But
no,
if you have one guy who can get the job done, why worry about that? You hope he stays healthy, of course, but they do have depth at that running back position. Kenny Gainwell's got in there for a carry, not quite the productivity of DeAndre Swift. I got him on the waiver wire in my 8-team league, Gregor, which I'm very happy about. Need him to hit the end zone about 3 or 4 times tonight to give me a chance. But yeah, I don't like to doubt what Philadelphia does with their management.
And Joe Burrow, he's in? That what we're hearing?
Looks like he's in. Yeah. Looks like on Yahoo, at least they dropped the questionable tag. So it looks like Joe Burrow's going to be good to go. Super Bowl rematch.
Hey guys, where's Connor at tonight? Did I hear he's by my house in the North End from Jerry? Yes, Jerry, he is. He's he's at the Brew House, North End, which is 97th Street, Cons, and 127th Ave.
That's it. 97th and 127th Ave. I'll be rushing over in a few minutes there. Get a chance to qualify 2 people to go to Las Vegas for the Super Bowl.
And Connor will buy you a beer.
Oh, yeah.
If you come down, maybe he'll have one with you. He's got a Dronosaurus, pretty distraught right now. Well, maybe not that distraught, but a little bit. He's putting on a good brave face. I respect it. He's putting on the brave face right now. But deep down, he's a little sad because it's another year for the Chargers and another year for a big injury. So, hey, Gregor, what's the rule? What happens if the Oilers somehow had guys sick and couldn't play? What would they do in the preseason game? It's a good question, Mike. What happens? Basically, they always travel with 1 extra skater. And usually it's a forward. Because I guess they feel like, you know what? We can play with 5 defensemen. Right? I would probably argue, wouldn't you bring the extra guys at defensemen? Because you could play with 11 forwards a lot easier than playing with 5 defensemen. That would just be me. So maybe some teams take an extra D, but usually it seems that they fly the extra forward. Now, you don't have many who can play both. You could go with 7 defensemen on the trip, and then if one doesn't play or somebody gets hurt up front, you can always move a defenseman up for a shift or 2. But that's what happens, and I guess like, I don't know, would it have to be like the E. coli breakout that just happened recently where you had guys that sick and suddenly they couldn't play? I would think if there was too many AL, they might just postpone the game. Because you got to remember, like the Oilers left Edmonton, I think around 1:00 today to get to Winnipeg in time for the game. So they don't have many other options for that. That's just how it goes. It's that simple. Guys, why would the Oilers send down Bo Wakey after that good of a game? Why not give him another try? Doesn't that just send the wrong message to the kid from Douglas? I don't think so, Douglas. I talked to Bo yesterday in the room, and I wrote about it. I'll read you the transcription of my interview with Bo Wakey. Just talking about a few things from him, just because we don't have time to get to the audio because we're having a little bit of audio issues. But he asked about his first NHL preseason game. First time stepping into that atmosphere was pretty cool. You realize how big the rink actually is and how big the atmosphere is. It's a cool experience. I came here for a reason, to play my game and work my hardest. If I make a mistake, the coaches said they would live with it. We should be present, not perfect. I like that line. It's a big confidence booster going out there and knowing the coaches have confidence in me. What was the best moment? The atmosphere. From standing here to having Connor McDavid fist bumping you and him shaking hands with you. It's insane. You have Leon Draisaitl walking out when you are eating saying, see you tomorrow. It's just the whole atmosphere. You have Bouchard chatting with you on the bench, working through plays with you. You're sitting beside Darnell Nurse on the bench and here in the room and talking to him about the game. It is awesome. You have all these guys giving you fist bumps, hyping you up. The atmosphere is definitely the coolest part about being here. What was your goal coming into camp? Just leave an impression. Work my hardest, be a good person, be a good teammate. I think I did a pretty good job of making an impression here and over in Penticton. I did the best I could, and that's all I could hope for. Really got to like his attitude from a young Bo Wakey. He's 18 years of age, very polished, very confident young man. And I think it's fair. He left a good impression. But again, I don't get too overhyped about a preseason game. I caution. I've seen lots of guys have great preseasons, right? Magnus Pajärvi. Remember when he had the hat trick in the preseason and everyone's like, oh my goodness, this is unreal. That'll be great. This one's for Connor. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm wondering how the ex-Miami Dolphin coach Brian Flores lawsuit's going. Is suing the NFL for racial discrimination is the reason the Dolphins let him go. You think the Finns maybe made the coaching change to McDaniel based on something other than skin color? From Farmer Kevin.
I mean, it was a pretty toxic relationship. I don't know if all the facts have come out yet about what it might be. I'm sure they're happy with McDaniels. He's a great young offensive mind. Thought Flores was a good head coach too, and he's back as a defensive coordinator now. But yeah, I think we got to wait and see what comes out of that one.
And go look at the players he had on that team compared to the players on this team. It's a little bit different team, my man.
You didn't have Tyree.
Yeah, very different for sure. Enjoy the double dip of Monday night, or go see Connor Halley at the North Brewhouse, 97th Street, 127th Ave. Talk about all the games tomorrow. Set up McDavid and Draisaitl's preseason debut on Wednesday. Here is the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Ewell. From LED lighting audits and retrofits to design, build, distribution systems, Ewell service can give you the edge you need to impress your clients. EWEL.ca. Have a good night.
It's time for a Sports 1440 update.
The Oilers looking to pick up their first win of the preseason out in Winnipeg. Puck drop coming up in about 10 minutes' time. Off the ice, the team has signed their 2023 second-round pick, Bo Wakey, to the OHL's Barrie Colts. 2 games tonight in the NFL as we wrap up Week 3. Right now, the Eagles have a 3-0 lead over the Buccaneers as the second quarter just about to get going down in Tampa. And coming up in about 25 minutes, the Rams taking on the Bengals. I'll be down at the Canadian Burrows North location, 127th Ave and 97th Street. You can join me for a chance to qualify for a trip for 2 to the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. It's a light night in the majors. Angels take on the Rangers, Astros in Seattle, and the Giants up against the Padres. Earlier today was the Yankees knocking off the Diamondbacks 6-4. That'll do it for us today. Carius and Douglas back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.
This has been a Sports 1440 update.